think we're live. This bit's always the worst bit because you never know if you're actually live. I've got the phone on next to me. The adverts aren't starting yet. So I'm like, is it live? Isn't it live?
Yeah, I've got the stream here.
Right, skip ad. Hey, there we go. Are we live? Are we live? Anybody watching, can you see us? Can you hear us? And are you having a fantastic Tuesday?
I think that is us. I've got up at the side and I can see faces now. So
Matthew says we're live. Wicked. Let's give a quick couple of shout outs. Hi Andy, hey Lee, hey Philip, hey Matthew, hey Bart. Bart's just put Premiere out tonight, pairing OBTs. Hey Master of Contraption. Hey Mark. Hey Dave, hi Nat. I think that's everybody that's commented so far. Awesome. Hey Laura. Hey Greg. Great to see you, dude. Hey Kaz. Great to see Greg back in the live stream chat. So, are you doing well, dude? So before we get started, I'd like to introduce those that don't know Dan. This is Dan, Clan of Critters. Dan's channel link is down in the description. So if you're not subscribed, please go over and give him a quick follow. Hey Jade, that would be absolutely awesome. As always, we're not about we're all about love and sharing and spreading the love. So please drop down and give him a follow. That'd be absolutely awesome. Oh, good to hear, Greg.
Mark recently, so
oh
yeah, just
that's
up past it.
That's a big stepping stone.
Yeah, it happened much quicker than I thought as well. So I was planning that, a year down the line, I'll maybe get towards that. No, after 14 videos, 12 videos or something.
Nah, smashed it. I don't understand the algorithm or anything like that. I just do what I do and just keep my fingers crossed. I was very lucky in the beginning to have a much bigger channel give me a lot of support. Which is really weird because that channel was Filipino and he speaks only in Filipino.
Right.
But it seemed to bring in a lot of followers. He did it for me and he did it for Steve over Tarantula-tastic Enclosures as well. Greg says, finally life has been good to us. Got a new decent PC, so might be able to do more. Oh, Greg, man. That's awesome. For those of you that might not know Greg and his wife, they sell all the raffle tickets at the shops. So hopefully you'll be there on Sunday for the Bristol. Hey, Dan, I'm subscribed to your channel. Nice to see. Another Scott says Master of Contraption.
Yeah, we need to get some YouTube,
Shall we cover that one? What part of Scotland are you from? Are you born and bred Scottish or?
I am. So I am from just outside Edinburgh. My accent's maybe no typical Edinburgh though, because my mum and dad split when I was quite young, and my dad moved to the borders by Galashiels. So I spent quite a lot of time in Galashiels as well, and picked up a few words. So like a lot of the kids I teach at school make fun of me because I call pencil sharpeners, call them sharpeners. Just wee bits like that change my voice slightly. And also I put on a wee bit of a posh accent as well when I'm speaking to people so they can understand me. So I spent quite a lot of time in Wales. I lived in Wales for like 6 years while I was at university. So I kind of had to adapt a wee bit so people could tell what I was saying.
Was it what uni was it? Cardiff?
Aberystwyth.
Aberystwyth? Oh, mate, yeah. Love that.
Which is an amazing uni. Yeah, if anybody's looking for a university to study zoology or anything like that, I can't recommend Aberystwyth enough. It's amazing.
So where Tarantula Rook is, lad, he's there at the moment doing exactly that, zoology.
Oh, awesome.
Just one more, if you don't know Bart's also up in Scotland.
I didn't realise he was in Scotland.
Yeah.
On a couple of the live streams, didn't realise he was in Scotland though.
Yeah, and
sometimes Donna's around in the chat. If she's there, she's actually. Do you know Tarantula Donna?
yeah, she used to be about a lot, but yeah.
For me, we found it.
And Invertebrarian, Adam Connolly, probably the huge Scottish keeper. He's up there. Who else is up there? Anton's up that way. He's Glasgow. I mean, I've got to say, I mean, you and Blah and everybody else that lives in Scotland, you just don't realise how lucky you lot are. Honestly, I mean, I absolutely adore Wales because it's only like an hour and a half to 2 hours away. But Scotland, it's like you go up the coast almost to get to Scotland, up towards Glasgow, and you can see the backbone of the UK beginning in the form of the mountains, and they just get bigger and bigger and bigger. I've also been right up to Fraserburgh on the northeast coast. That fish and chips there, never had anything like it.
We've got some
never. Oh mate, I had fish and chips, and then there's like a dock over near Fraserburgh. So I was just there watching the ships coming. I was just like, and watching all the load and stuff like that. And mate, the Scottish don't take a break when they're working, do they? I was like, jeez.
Especially like the guys that work out in the fishing ships and that, they're a different breed. They're something else.
Oh yeah, they didn't batter an eyelid. Just like, you know, legally it's like 25 kilogram. That's all a man can lift. But these guys must have been doing about 50 or 60 just on one arm, and off they went. Yeah. Kaz moved to Wales when she was 18, or when they were 18. Sorry, 18 years ago, and we used to go to Scotland every summer in Kilnark.
All right.
Greg's coming up to Scotland for the Scotland show. Are you going to the Scotland show, Dan?
I am. It's going to be my first. I've never been to any of the invert shows yet, so looking forward to it.
Mate, you will be like in your element. Is an understatement. Yeah. All the spiders tend to be a little bit cheaper. But then you'll have the people that sell them. Like Bart's got a table in the chat, and suddenly all these people are then your friends because you had them on Facebook and all the rest of it. You know, Luke from Spar Spiders, Tim from Just Scorpion, CFTN, lot TSS. It is incredible thing to be at.
Yeah, I've already got. There's something in my mind that I'm going to look out for. I got like one thing, and I want to try and pick up a poke when I'm there. That's like the big goal for that. See if I can find myself at least a sub-adult poke, because I've not got any yet. So that would be a good one for the collection. But I'm looking forward to it.
Are you taking any pokies, any sub-adult pokies up to the Scottish show? I was going to say up to Scotland, but he's already in Scotland. I think you'd be lucky to get to find a decent sized one.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff I've seen it is just slings and that going around now, but it'll give you something to look out for.
But I mean, if you get like a grown-on sling, it's going to grow to a sizable spider pretty quickly, as you know, anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway, Dan, how did you get into inverts? And is it just inverts that you keep, or is there anything else lurking behind you? I can see.
I keep a few things. Short answer is the reason I go into inverts was undiagnosed ADD for years, and I pick up like 2 hobbies a week sometimes. It's mental the hobbies I go through. But long answer is I've kind of always been into it. So even when I was a kid, I grew up quite poor. Place where I grew in, it was a place that was, if you know what sim is, so it's like basically how far you are up on the earning ladder in an area, multiple deprivation index. The area I live in is very low on that, so it's like kind of one of the poorer areas in Scotland, so we didn't have a lot. But what we did have quite close to us was fields and woods and stuff. So you could always get out to find things, so I've always kind of been surveying in that sense. I didn't do very well at high school. I left high school with almost no qualifications at all. I have a higher in art and design. Yes. I don't even know what else I've got. That's about it. I actually got asked not to take science which is the thing I now teach at a high school. So I got asked not to take science when I was at the end of second year. So I left school with not very many qualifications. I got into outdoor pursuits. So I used to teach stuff like windsurfing and kayaking and that. And with each of those qualifications, you get UCAS points, which is what you use to apply to university. With those UCAS points, I was able to get onto a foundation degree at Aberystwyth University. Then I got into the zoology degree, and then I done my master's. So my background for getting in a lot of this stuff was actually kind of more academic. So I was working with freshwater invertebrates and fungal parasites that infect them. Really cool parasite, actually, that also feminizes them. So it infects them as eggs, changes some of the male eggs to female because they just reproduce in the ovaries, and it keeps going like that through a system. But obviously, if it infects them all, then there's no next generation. So it has to have a ratio for it. So there's still males to make more of them. So I got into that. While I was doing that, I went on a research trip to the Peruvian Amazon. So I went out there and I done some surveying for one of the Barcode Life projects. So we found a bunch of inverts. We sampled them all, took some genetic material from them. We sent it back to our labs in Aberystwyth, sampled that, sent it to the museums and stuff, and we went through that. So that was like my first kind of foray into academic entomology. While I was there, I found a species of wasp, which is likely a new species. So I have very likely found a new species, but we're waiting for an expert to confirm that. That's currently sitting in the Natural History Museum at London. I also met a guy called Ross Piper, Dr. Ross Piper, who really got me into entomology. He's an amazing scientist. He does freelance science, but he's also done some programs with the BBC. So if anybody's seen Wild Burma, he was the lead scientist on that. He's a crazy guy.
Does he reside in the Midlands?
Yes. Yeah, he does.
You might see him on this channel, and he might also be coming to the Coventry show. A mutual friend of mine. We've got a mutual friend called Thomas. He did his master's in philosophy and neuroscience.
Oh, cool. Ross is so good.
Just so happens that I work with him. Right. So that's Tom was like, I've got this friend that might be interested, and he explained it, and I says, "Oh, dude, don't let him watch my channel because my channel is like just I literally just try and push the basics out as much as possible. So it's like you, if you watch my channel with my care videos, you'll probably fall asleep because the level of education that you've now got, and the same with that guy, is miles above what I'm putting out there on YouTube. But
Ross,
like I said,
he's so down to earth. I've never met anybody who can talk about science in the way he can. He makes it so accessible, it's unreal. It's just a natural gift he's got. But he is so good. I mean, you wouldn't expect that if he's been picked by the BBC to host their programmes, essentially. He's got a couple of really good books that have been out. While I was on that field trip, actually, he has just recently, I want to say about 9 months ago, he discovered a whole new genus of insect, of beetle, that he's just finished getting the stuff written off. So he's got that. And there was also another insect that I believe he named after his daughter as well. But he's an amazing scientist. Some of his stories are wild. Ask him about the time he stuck his hand down a hole in Burma and felt 2 fangs sink into his hand, because that's a good story. Bear in mind, you don't know what it is, and in Burma, it's inaccessible. It would take you about 4 hours to walk to a point where a helicopter could pick you up.
Yeah.
So some of his stories are amazing. But yeah, so I met Ross out there. He was on that field trip. He was doing some work with pseudoscorpions on bark. He kind of got me into surveying the insects, and that was when I really started to get into it. Then I finished my master's at university, started looking for jobs, and then Brexit happened, so a lot of funding for universities were pulled out, and I just managed to get a whole bunch of funding for my master's to go and work at some labs in London, integrating genetics and histopathology, which are academic disciplines. A lot of people know what genetics is, where you look at DNA of an animal. Histopathology is essentially about cutting stuff up and looking at it under microscopes. I got all that funding, and then COVID happened, and every lab in the country was shut down. So that put a big kink into my plans. Me and my partner decided to move back up to Scotland. I kept about here for a wee while doing some jobs, and I went and done my PGDE a couple of years ago, was it 2 years ago now, to teach science. So I became a qualified biology teacher. I've just finished my NQT year in that. I work at a local school around here, the school that I went to and was kicked out of science in. I now teach science at, which is pretty cool. And then now that me and Louise are kind of in a fairly stable place, we're unlikely to have to move around, I thought I'd get into the hobby of actually collecting the inverts as well. So I'd kind of collected them out in the wild, especially some of the exotic ones, but I'd never really held my own. So I decided, yeah, I'll give it a go, see what I can get, and got addicted to the hobby. Again, that's that undiagnosed ADD. I pick up a hobby and I pick it up pretty quick, pretty hard.
With what GCSEs did you actually leave school with?
Oh, so in Scotland at the time, it wasn't GCSEs, it was intermediate ones and intermediate twos. And as I say, I've got like a low pass in art and design. So it was maybe like a D, if that. I had intermediate two maths, intermediate English. I was actually on the higher English course, but I kept that much of school and I truanted for that much of school that I just didn't bother going to the exam. So I never got that at all. So I didn't leave with much. I think I had like intermediate two in geography as well. And a few others. Actually, I had my qualifications sitting a bit earlier because I was scanning them, but I don't know what I've done with them. But yeah, not very many at all.
So to come from leaving school, I mean, just in case there's any kids watching, it just shows you what is actually capable. That the journey, Dan, just blowing me away. I'm a little bit speechless. That is an incredible journey.
I mean, it's taken a while. Like it cost me a good few years, and I definitely say if you get the chance to do your qualifications at high school, do them because I never had higher English. In order to teach, you need to have higher English. I had to spend £800 to do an online higher course with the University of Aberdeen, which I was a bit silly, but I never actually revised anything. I just paid for the course, then paid for the assessment and sent it in. So a good chance I could have failed that, but I passed. But it cost me quite a few years, so it's definitely worth sticking in if you can. But if you don't, alternative pathways are there. And I'd argue in a lot of senses alternative pathways are better because you're going to start the process more mature. You're going to come out more mature at the end.
That is just an incredible story. Absolutely incredible story. Especially like how you got your points. That I would never even thought that in a million years.
Yeah, through teaching outdoor pursuits. So taught a lot of kayaking, windsurfing, mountain biking, rock climbing, stuff like that. As long as it's what we call an NGB, which is a national governing body award. So if there's like some sort of organisation that overlooks it, you will very likely get what's called UCAS points. And then you can use them to apply to uni. I had about 100. Generally, you only need about 80 to apply to a first year or a foundation year of a course.
That's cool. When you said the Amazon, was it the Amazon, as in?
Yes. Yeah. So it wasn't Brazilian Amazon, it was Peruvian Amazon. So the Amazon, for the guys that are now aware, the Amazon covers a vast area. If the Amazon itself was a country, it'd be something like the 13th biggest country in the world, but it covers a whole big portion of the South of America. And I was in Peruvian Amazon, but I was in primary rainforest, which is like the most rainforesty you can get in the Amazon. That's like the deep, dark stuff. It took us about 7 hours on a boat from the nearest town to get to the research station we were at.
Was the research, because when you say research station, what comes into my mind is a high-tech building, painted, concreted up, you know, all that.
It was all good.
Of, you know, yeah. What?
It was nothing like that because that stuff would be brilliant if you could get it there, but powering it would be next to impossible. A lot of when you're working at research stations out in places like that, a lot of time what you're doing is you're collecting stuff and storing it in a way you can take it back to one of those fancy labs to work on. Just because there's no way to store it. Some of this stuff, you know, to run like even just to run a couple of microscopes for a day would cost you so much energy, it would be unreal. To operate fridges and freezers and stuff in areas like that would cost you again so much energy. You'd be just going through fuel quicker than you could get up the river. Power generators and stuff. It was a wee wooden hut with some insect netting around it. One of the dorms that a couple of the lassies were staying in was made out of the old, you know, like the pallets that you get shipments on. the wooden pallets.
Oh,
It was just made of they stuck together. Actually, on the first night, we had to move a couple of the girls' buildings to another one further along. So there was 3 buildings in the wee complex, but they went to go to bed, and one of the lassies discovered a giant spider above her bed. She kind of thought nothing to it. She was like, "Oh, I'll just get one of the porters to come along and move it for us." And it was a Brazilian wandering spider.
Oh, so they're really close.
They just got moved to another building. Yeah.
Did you have like natives with you as well? Literally just.
Yes, yeah. There was some guys. There was one guy actually. They called him Alejandro, but that wasn't his name. But he was from a tribe. He was from one of the tribes in the Amazon that had only made contact something like 2 generations before him. And he was a really cool guy. But he used to, when we were walking through the jungle, we're geared up in like wellies, and we're wearing long sleeve shirts and everything. We've got hats on. We're covered in midgie spray and all that, and we've got like thickened trousers. And he's just cutting about in shorts with no t-shirt, bare feet, walking through primary rainforest. Like,
Did he get attacked by the mosquitoes?
Sorry?
Did he get attacked by the mosquitoes as much as everybody else?
No, so this is something they swear by. They eat really spicy food. So they eat, like, you'll see them when they're walking through the jungle and that, they just chew on chilies and things. I think the idea is that comes out in the sweat, and that's kind of a natural repellent. But yeah, no, he didn't seem to get bothered by any of that. When we would go into the jungle, we'd be carted up with water bottles and stuff as well. He would literally just take his machete and he would just like cut up leaf rolls and that and be drinking it to them as you go and stuff. Yeah, he brought us a couple of what's called custard apples, which are big massive apples you can find on trees there. And he was just happily munching them. A couple of us tried just 1 or 2 bites, and all of us got the jungle runs, which is just severe diarrhea. But in the middle of nowhere, it's not that much fun.
Mate had a similar experience in the Himalayas, but he wasn't looking for animals. It's another story. Definitely not for prior 9 p.m. Richard Indiana Jones has just put a tenner on the chat. Cheers, dude. So Richard is like a long-term friend, man. I miss you, dude. He does a lot of van builds on TikTok and on YouTube. So he basically just lives in his van. Yeah. Hey,
yeah,
Mark.
My girlfriend is just in the middle of looking at stuff like that. She's getting a van fitted to be able to walk and train dogs, and she wants to make it modular so she can turn it into a camper as well. So
check his channel, because
we check it.
What he does as well is also affordable. It's not like he's gone out and spent thousands and thousands and thousands, and it's just a normal bloke living in a van.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But prior to that, he used to keep a lot of inverts and reptiles, and he used to come on, and we used to have a right laugh several years ago. But yeah. Hey Ray, all Mark the Spider guys in chat as well. So now you've settled down back into Scotland,
yeah,
and you started obviously collecting inverts. What was the first one that you brought into your house? Non-native.
Millipede, actually. Yeah, it was my millipede. So I started off. It stemmed from I wanted to get some pets for the classroom, so I bought a millipede. And with that millipede, I also decided to buy a mystery box. So this is from Bugs UK. So I got the millipede, and then in that was a curly hair, a T Albo, which is currently sitting up behind me. And
sorry, where's the mystery box?
Bugs UK.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're brilliant. I use them quite a lot. So I've got the Albo sitting up behind me. It actually just molted the other day. I've got the molt up there that I've pinned, and it is a confirmed female, which is awesome.
So Clayton and Paul.
I got this T Albo, and I didn't know what was in it. I didn't recognise the name because it just said T Albo, and I didn't even say albopolosis. So I'm guessing they just thought, oh, this is something we'll probably know what it is, but I had no idea. I opened it on my lap and it crawled out onto my leg. So that was like my first.
The mystery boxes, that is, to be honest, they're just hyphenated and put in the full name.
What else did I get in it? I got a mantis as well. I got a Yunnan flower mantis. I got some Black Beauty stick insects, and I feel it was something else, but I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, stick insects would be good for the classroom.
Yeah, they're really good. I actually had a bit of an issue with my stick insects. I left, so my classroom, because it's a lab, it's supposed to be heat controlled, so it should always be a certain temperature. So I just left them in there for the winter because it's free heat and I'm not going to use my own. And unfortunately, during the storm, there was a power cut, there was a massive crash in heat, and I lost all of my stick insects. But I recently put the soil from that into a container that had some isopods because we were making a compost machine. And then I just noticed on the top of the lid one day there was a baby stick insect. So I took it out, I brought it home, and I've currently got it in here. So it's getting to a decent size again. You might actually be able to see it just in the edge here. It's getting to a decent size again, so I'm going to be able to get all the clones, and we will have a population of stick insects again.
Hold it up again and see if we can't.
So it's just up here. It's a bit hard with the light for the screen. But yeah, it's getting to a decent size. I reckon maybe even next smoke, it might be at the point where it can start laying eggs again. And from that one rogue egg, we will have all our stick insects.
That's a bloody cool story. This shed's at the end of the garden. So you may or may not know, but I had a digital heater. Well, I've got a digital heater in here. And I didn't know that if your power goes off, you have to physically turn it back on. It's not like they're all fed radiators. So the stepdaughter, she unplugged something and I plugged it back in. Happy days. I was thinking, didn't come back in here. I keep saying 2 to 3 days, but it's probably more like 3 to 4. And it was -2. So I lost everything apart from 2 spiders and a scorpion. But
yeah, I remember seeing your video after that.
Halfway back. But things happen. And it's like Tara said. She says, look, document it, put it out there and get yourself back into it. And that's what we did. So
that was one of the things I was saying to Mark actually on one of his recent videos. That I like how Mark the Spider guy, I like how he puts in the stuff that fails as well. Because a lot of guys you see on YouTube, they only show you the good stuff, so you think, oh, it all goes well. And then it makes you feel much more guilty when stuff doesn't go well. Because accidents do happen.
I've said this a lot about Mark, and I don't know if you'd agree, but he's the only person on YouTube that can literally make you feel like you're sitting in his front room with him, rehousing spiders.
Yeah, I love Mark's stuff.
I mean, Mark gives us the lift to the shows. I've known Mark for a long time, and his son Nathan. And if you ever get to a show, Dan, if you can meet him in real life, he's a beautiful soul, a real beautiful soul. Really
Mark
is.
I'm pretty sure Mark was like the first guy actually to ever give me a shout out when my channel was just starting. You're talking about I only would have had maybe like 30 subscribers or something at the time. So it's not like I've been doing anything. I maybe had 2 videos. And,
but that's
Mark was one of the first guys to shout me out.
That's the community, because Mark knows as well as I know. We've got certain subscribers because one, we've either shouted each other out, or bigger channels give us a call, or a smaller channels give us a shout, so we can all kind of grow together.
Yeah,
because it seems like with some of the YouTubers, they get big and then that's just their one, and community often it goes, and it should all be like, I don't know, all together.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Just supporting each other, man. Well, Mark is literally a lovely, lovely man. And like I said, if you can ever get to a show where he's at, go find him.
Yeah, I want to. There's a few of the guys. Dave as well, I'm hoping to meet at the Glasgow show. I'm pretty sure he said he was going. Mark's going. He good. Dave and Nat. And
Dave and Nat.
Yeah, Donna's talking about going. I think she's actually going to have a stall, so I'm going to go along and meet her as well. Meet a few of the guys.
Dave and Nat are pretty epic. I'll challenge you to keep up with Dave on the drinking the night before, though.
I tend to stay away from the drink nowadays if I can. So it's part of that whole, becoming a teacher thing. I've got to be a wee bit more careful than I used to.
Does that affect your content, being a teacher? Have you got to be like careful with what you put out there? And
it does in a certain things. I do have to be a bit more careful. So, like one for example, I'm not. It's not particularly like written into a lot of the GTCS stuff, but I've got to be very careful about any sort of mention any politics. So I'm a wee bit more. I guess, carefree with that, because a lot of the politics that I'm interested in, it's not so much party politics that you might see in the UK. It's more to do with like conservation and stuff. So it's maybe the politics within science and conservation. So I've got a wee bit more free reign. But yeah, you've got to be careful with stuff like that. I've got to be really careful if I'm mentioning anything at the school. I can't give away anything that's what's called a distinguishing characteristic. So any way that anybody could recognise any of the children from what I say. So I'm okay with certain stories. Like I could say, maybe I could tell you about a story about a child that I was teaching with, maybe say ASN, but I couldn't mention any names. I couldn't mention the class that it's in, the time that happened, the day, the month, anything like that. There's a few things you've got to be careful with.
You can't even describe the child, can you? Because then that's...
Yeah, no, nothing that would be able to mark them out in a crowd. Because you've got to think about it in schools. This is why it's one of the things that we always encourage people not to do, is don't put pictures of your children online on first days at schools and stuff. Because if you know what school a kid goes to, and if you know, for example, so I'm teaching biology, if they know that I am teaching a certain class at a certain time, that gives you a lot of information about a child. You can figure out if they're wearing a uniform, you can get the logo, you can pop that into Google, suddenly you know where the school is. Then you know what time the school starts at, then you know when it finishes. Then you know when the breaks are. And then say if you know I'm doing biology, you might be able to find some sort of out of hours thing, for example. So say I am not in classes at this point, then you can start to narrow down when I'm in class. So you can start to figure out where kids might be at certain times. It's quite scary, the stuff that people can figure out for things like that. So yeah, I've got to be really careful with some of the stuff I say.
A friend posted a picture on Facebook of mystery box actually that they got delivered, scribbled out the address, and I always said to him, "Oh, I'll find your address," like just having a laugh, and it was just one of those jokes. And hey, because of the box, he scribbled out his address. It had been delivered, it'd been signed for, and I messaged him and I went, "This is your address." And he went, he said to me, he says, "How the hell did you find that?" And I went, "Dude, it's the tracking number on the actual parcel itself."
Oh yeah, yeah.
You put that into the postal service, and it will tell you that one, who it's been signed for, and where it's been delivered. So he subsequently took that down, and this goes for anybody watching. If you ever post a picture of anything that you've had delivered, one, yes, scribble out the address, but make sure that tracking number is also not visible to a camera. So make sure you scribble that one out.
So on the flip side, if you want to know where I live, just watch any of my videos, because I never do it. So I am so lazy with stuff like that. Not even just the tracking number, my full address is on all of the boxes. I don't think I've ever thought to scribble it.
I mean, look at yourself. Well-built geezer, used to do a lot of kickboxing. I think if somebody come to your door to cause trouble, they're going to get turned quickly.
We're like stuck in the corner. The Royal Mail guys can't find our house half the time, so nobody else is going to find it. It's fine.
So I'm in Coventry. Everybody knows I'm in Coventry, but our postman will literally try and come here first because he knows what's in the boxes. It also
I see it on their faces sometimes when I'm at the door and I see them handing it over, and you just see them looking at that sticker that says like live invertebrates and live insects on it.
It doesn't matter what box it is. It just he always comes here straight away because he already. I'm not going to say what he does, but he does something else for us, which ensures I get that parcel that day, which I cannot thank him enough. So when Christmas comes, I am going to be sorting him out this year. Awesome. Good to see you, Richard. Take care. Age does a bit of MMA, apart from Bart, who knows. Says Jade.
So I used to do a wee bit of MMA. So I'm a blue belt in no gi jiu-jitsu, and I'm a white belt three stripe in gi jiu-jitsu, which I took up a wee bit after. But I've not done it in quite a while. I've done a couple of in-house competitions, so I've never had any bouts outside of my gym. So it used to be Headhunters in Edinburgh, which is an amazing gym if anybody's around the Edinburgh region. Alex who runs it was a world champion in Thai kickboxing, so he was a Muay Thai champion in the lightweight category, and he was a Lumpini Stadium champion over in Thailand. So you're talking about if you're a white guy going over and fighting at the weight the Thais fight it in Thailand, you're very good. But he's exceptional. So, but yeah, no, I've got quite a long history in combat sports and martial arts. It's something that I really, really enjoy. And it's one of the things that really kept me off the streets as a teenager. A lot of my mates got involved in drugs. Quite a few of them are in jail. The kickboxing was a big reason that I didn't go along a lot of those routes. Same with rugby as well, actually. That was another saving grace for me.
See, that's where I went wrong. I would have gone with your mates and done the drugs and the street fight and all the rest of it. And I didn't start training until like my mid-20s. But I trained at Capital Gym in Coventry before we actually lived here, and the Way of the Spiritual Warrior, because the Way of the Spiritual Warrior, world recognised gym for one because of Anthony Pillich, the man behind it. But they taught so many different styles. It was unbelievable. And then we used to have like the Friday Rat Pack, which was a load of us from Capital Gym used to meet up and just have a bit of a sparring session with a Muay Thai, one of the Muay Thai champions, Carl Connolly, and then Luke, who used to work at the gym. He used to teach us a lot. He was only 19, but he was incredible, really, really incredible. But yeah, I broke a rib just purely because of a takedown. So I got lifted up, but I was doing the bodybuilding at the time, so I was probably what I am now. So I was probably about 15 stone, and he just couldn't hold me. He dropped me, and I couldn't put my arm out. So I thought, well, I remember thinking, let's not break my arm, and pull my arm up, and then pop my rib at the back. Just cracked it there instead. But I actually finished the session that day as well.
That's the thing, though. It's not until after you're that fully adrenaline that you don't notice this stuff. I'm ruined for kickboxing, so I competed at Scottish national level when I was a teenager. It was the way the brackets worked, because my birthday's at Christmas. I was competing at under 18 when I was 18, and then I competed at under 20 after that. I can't remember the timelines that much. I might have not competed at under 20. I might have been just under 18 when I finished.
Just tried a lot of that one,
yeah, I have knackered my body. My knees are shot. Just all the ligament in that and everything, all the cushioning in between my bones is just worn down. Unfortunately, that's not something you get back once it goes. But I wouldn't change it. I love the kickboxing. I just wish at the time my coaches had kind of sat me down and said, by the way, this is what's happening. This will be what happens later on in life. I probably still would have made the same choice, but
my older brother's fourth dan in karate. I mean, I know karate. We all know karate is rubbish when it comes to
no. Some karate can be pretty legit, like.
But I mean, he's now had knee operation, so he's both his knees have now been swapped out for bits of metal and bits of plastic because of the katas. So him jumping and landing, he put a lot of weight on in his late 20s, which he carried for about 15 years maybe. So yeah, and then my uncle, he did a lot of mixed martial arts. My uncle's in his 70s now. And his knees and his wrists and his knuckles are completely knackered. He was, but he was also an enforcer in one of the motorbike groups as well. So it's like how much of that happened with no pads across his knuckles. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Which
would have been a lot.
Yeah.
And that would have been, because he's in his 70s. That probably would have been when the MC clubs first started really expanding in the UK. So each club would have had a point to prove, wouldn't they? So and keep law and order.
I mean, I escaped relatively straight free, so my knees and that are a bit mucked up. You might be able to see it that on my left eye, it's a wee bit droopy compared to the other one. So my eyebrow hangs a wee bit lower. That was for a particularly bad kick in the heat I took during one fight. But apart from that, I've not got too much going on with these. Bad knees, bad eye, that's about it. I've
got a few scars. I got one under my eye from a golf club. That was a bad one, blood everywhere, and yeah, that was a nasty one. They've got a lump on the side of my head, which is now a cyst, but it actually started out, that was a piece of timber around the back of the head. Then it went to a bruise, and then when I was 25, 26, it turned into this like cyst, which... Yeah. Unless they get infected or burst, the doctor will not touch it. No. And I'm like, look, can't you just drain it for me at least?
Yeah.
just a quick warning. So, in 6 minutes' time at 9 p.m., we do swear. We do have adult conversation. So, if you've got any kids watching, think about removing them because I don't want to be the reason that they're saying swear words at school tomorrow. Chris may pop in at 9 p.m. and give me a load of abuse and disappear. I have no idea. Just reading down around the comments.
Yeah, no worries.
I've just seen a conversation about hiding spoons. That's when you know you live in a Sen household. That is. Knives and forks are the ones in this house with 3 kids. They disappear.
I get in trouble because I keep stealing like the nice teaspoons and that for all the stuff. Using them for putting out like bits of food and all that. I am so bad for no tidying up my side of the bed. I've got like a wee coffee table there, and I had to clean it the other day because Louise's mum was coming over, and I found like 9 teaspoons just stashed to the side of my drawers.
What I do is I'll make myself a cup of tea. I'll come down here and I'll be doing stuff, and then it'll be like Tara might message and say one of the boys is kicking off. We'll shout at them. So I'll go back up, lock the door, and then I'll forget about that cup, and then I'll get another one. Come down, do it again. And then before I know, I've got about 6 mugs down here. Tara's going, "Where's my Dave's Little Beasties mug?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know, babe. I'll go look for it. I'm just going to pop down the shed anyway because I've left the lights on." Get back up, clean it, and go, "I found it. It was at the back of the cupboard." Let's get back to inverts and the animals then, Dan.
Yes. Would you like to see something quickly?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Before the abuse starts. Be back in a second.
You're good to go mobile?
For the first couple, I should be able to just do it with this. And then switch over. Maybe when Chris jumps in, I'll see about switching over to mobile while you're...
If he jumps in, I know Chris has the family stuff on with his missus and that, so I don't know if he will pop in on.
We can see it anyway. But I'll grab the first one.
Yeah, well. I know, Mark. That me and Dan were just talking about Ozzy before the show. I think 2 hours ago they put the announcement out or something, and I think he passed away this morning. But isn't it strange how he did that farewell, and then just over a week later he passes away? I'm wondering if he planned to go today, if that makes sense. I mean, it sounds like an Aussie thing to do, wouldn't it? I'm still a bit shocked about it, to be honest.
Oh, with Aussie, yeah. I'd be interested to see why it actually is, what it put it down to, because that man had a wild life. So it could be so many.
Like I said, I've got a feeling that he chose today.
Yeah.
And for me, I mean, I'm a rock and metal lover. Do you know what I mean? So Ozzy Osbourne's always been there, all the way through my life since my parents listened to like ABBA and Gene Pitney. And then Boyzone and stuff like that. And I was like, this is crap. Do you know what I mean? And Ozzy Osbourne was there, AC/DC and all those guys from obviously before me, but that was the music that I was listening to. And because he was so rebellious, and I was rebellious, it was just like...
The kids at Stoke School still quote Ozzy Osbourne. I don't know if they know it's who they're quoting. But like when they're doing their wee meme conversations and stuff, they're quoting Ozzy Osbourne and all of the stuff he does. So I know we were saying inverts, but this one,
hey Brandon,
this is just a wee baby. So it isn't an invert. I don't know if anybody recognises what this wee girl might be.
I do.
Brandon for Spartan Exotics probably will.
I do. I know what that is. I've always wanted one, never got one, never kept one.
Yeah, I'll see if I can move my face to the side. So this is Crumpet. She is our baby hognose. So hognose snakes are incredible. If you're ever looking at getting a snake, Royal Pythons are up there as a good one to start with. But hognoses are also just as good, especially in the UK, where they are quite easy to get. Some countries, they might be on a complete ban. There's a couple of good reasons for that. One, maybe say you're in North America, they can actually be classed as semi-invasive, even though they are from there. They don't want to take those genes into the wild. The other one is this is a venomous species. So
Great.
also poisonous, actually, which is really cool. So one of the distinctions between venom and poison is if it bites you and you have a bad time, it's venomous. If you bite it and you have a bad time, it's poisonous. But in the wild, these guys eat a whole bunch of poisonous frogs, and they can sequester that venom inside them, which means if something else eats them, they get ill. And they do have a mild toxin in their bodies as well that they can not inject, so it's not the same as a lot of the venomous snakes that people know about, are like your vipers. So they've got those hypodermic fangs that can fold. These guys don't have that. These are what we call rear fang venomous. So they do still have venom pits and venom glands, but they've got almost hollow rear fangs that they can slide that venom down in a sense, and that's how they inject it. Well, it's not like a true injection because there's no mechanical force behind it. But they are rear fang poisonous. I was bitten by crumpet not that long ago, so I've also got some frogs that we'll show you at some point. I was cleaning out the frog tank. I didn't wash my hands. Then I thought, oh, I'll get crumpet out for a quick play. I was just sitting on my phone and I felt something on my finger, and I looked down and I could just see her fangs kind of working up my pinky. I'll maybe put the photo on Instagram later, actually, and she had chomped it on my finger and she was trying to eat me. So it wasn't like a strike, just like she was actually trying to eat me. She thought I was food. But these are amazing little snakes. It was quite painful. I took a bit of a reaction to it. My pinky was thicker than my thumb for a couple of hours, but it wasn't too bad. You're talking about the pain in the venom, isn't it, much more than a bee sting? But because they are venomous, there is a lot of places where you just won't be able to house them. Or if you do, you will need a license. And it can be quite controversial because in a lot of these same countries, you might not need a license for certain tarantulas or, say, scorpions that have a more potent venom. So it's a bit funky, but she's amazing. She's one of our favourite animals at the moment. She is wild type company.
The DWA license in the UK is a bit of a mess.
Sorry?
They said the DWA license in the UK is a little bit of a mess, especially if you look at scorpions that are on it, and like some of them are not even.
This is
a bee sting.
I was mentioning. Yeah, this is what like I was saying earlier with the kind of the politics side. There's so much politics and stuff like animal keeping. I think we've maybe lost. Have we lost Scott or have we lost me? I'll just keep chatting in case it's me we've lost, in case it's Scott we've lost. So yeah, the politics in the UK for stuff like this is an absolute nightmare. You have people that just aren't involved in the hobby or have no sort of formal or any sort of experience or academic qualification making these rules, which is a nightmare. So you're going to always have bad decisions, unfortunately, especially when you've got these people in government. You're talking about, it could be people that come from finance that are suddenly making decisions on what can be kept and what can't. And it is just, it's a horrible situation. Hopefully it will get better as we get more guys with qualifications coming out of the universities and moving into these areas. Or even better, we get hobbyists involved in the policy making, which is why stuff like responsible reptile keeping is amazing to have in the hobby. I am going to pop Crumpet back quickly, if anybody wants to say bye. Yeah. Oh, one thing I was going to say before we took her away, she is a wild type hognose. So she has got that nice wild colouring. I like wild types in a lot of my animals, especially because I want to use them as ambassador animals. So I want to be able to take them out to schools and stuff to show them off. But she is also het albino. So in the future, there is plans to perhaps, I've had my eye on an albino, but also het lavender, het superconda male that I was considering getting, and maybe seeing if we can breed with Crumpet and get some cool little offspring. So I'll still be able to get some of those wild types that I love, because if you know how genes work, the dominant gene, which is normally the wild one, will be displayed. So a lot of them will look like her, but because there is, say, at least that albino gene that we know is confirmed, there will be at least some albino babies if we get another albino snake. So that's the plan for her in the future. She's a little bit more active because this would be her feeding day, but I've not fed her today. I've not even taken her stuff out to defrost, so she might even be a wee bit grumpy. If you have ever had these snakes, they have amazing attitude on them. They are so sassy. Crumpet is a fake striker, so she will hiss and she will swing at you, and with that little shovel nose, which is where they get the name hog nose from, she will just bat you with it. she'll just slap it against you. That's kind of like their first plan. That's how they get stuff to back off. If that doesn't work, they've got another defense mechanism, which is amazing. I've never seen her do it yet. They will turn over onto their back, they'll show their belly, they'll curl up slightly, and they'll hang their tongue out their mouth, and then they will exude a kind of mucus from between their scales that stinks. It's like a musk. It smells very similar to a ferret, to anybody that's kept ferrets. I've not experienced it with her yet because she is quite a wee sweetheart. She does, if you wake her up in the morning and shout the enclosure, she does give a little swing and a hiss at you, but we've never had her playing dead yet. It's something I'd like to see, but I'm quite glad that she doesn't feel stressed enough to do it. She's actually got some really nice colourings on her belly. So they reckon, she's getting a bit restless, they reckon the reason for this specific pattern on the belly is actually to advertise that they are poisonous as well as venomous. So they eat those frogs, they sequester that poison, so it's going to be a bad idea to eat them, which is why they don't bite and use that venom as a defence. Venom is really costly to make, poison doesn't cost as much to make, so they don't use that resource-intensive venom, they just keep that stored, and they'll just let that venom that the frogs are essentially producing for them to ward them off. So I will pop Crumpet away a second, and I will grab the next one, which is also a vertebrate, so I'll maybe go through them first before the inverts, because I need to switch to my phone for that.
What frogs are they eating? Is it darter frogs?
No, so they are. Oh, these guys. It's not so much frogs. It's more toads to eat. Is it? I want to say it's maybe one of like the smaller bullfrog groups. I'll have to double check. Because frogs have toxins in them.
I was just about to kind of go, that's more incredible than it already is, because if it was from poison dart frogs, then the poison dart frogs are ingesting the poison themselves, and then the snakes ingesting it. That would have been pretty crazy.
That's how a lot of frogs and toads do it, though. They don't have the glands to produce poison in a sense. They sequester it as well. So you find even your toads and things, a lot of the time it is from eating other animals. A lot of the time those animals are ants and other hymenopterans, because it's the formic acid, which is in the stings, that's usually is the backbone for a lot of these poisons. So it's very similar mechanisms, and that's why you'll know with your dart frogs and stuff that they're not poisonous in captivity, because we don't feed them those stuff, so it never has a chance to make the poison. But let's see if we can get her back and grab somebody else.
Can one of the admin just drop Dan's link back into the comments, so those that aren't subscribed to Dan can pop over and say hello. Quick apology, my laptop died because I plugged in my white box instead of plugging in the laptop, so I plugged in the wrong plug at the very. Actually, we could probably do with Jade. There we go.
So a couple of guys might have already seen this as I was getting her out. This is one of the newer additions to the room. She was in a recent video, and this is Serene, the Royal Python. So we rescued her just, I want to say only about 2 months ago now. It was somebody who was getting ready to take her to the SSPCA. So in Scotland, we don't have the RSPCA, we have the SSPCA, and there are different bodies. They were getting ready to take her to the SSPCA, but they wanted to do a home check. And this was somebody that wasn't comfortable with a home check. So instead, I managed to get in touch with them. I can't even remember. Well, wasn't it maybe Facebook? It's through one of the social ones. I got in touch with her and I said, look, I'll rescue her. Instead of you having to go through the SSPCA first, who would have to do a home check. And then they also wanted her to keep her for a couple of months while they set up a home rather than take it in. I was like, I'll just take her now. So we went and picked up Serene. I was a bit worried at first because I thought, a snake that somebody's wanting to get rid of usually has problems. Usually it's got some sort of feeding aggression, or it's unhandleable, or it's maybe with pythons, royal pythons, one of the things is they refuse food quite a lot. She has been nothing like that. She's been amazing. She's clearly already well socialized. The person did say that they got it from a family member and they just weren't able to look after the snake. They thought they'd be able to, but they weren't. But she's been an absolute sweetheart, and Serene is also going to be an ambassador animal. So I'm working with her to make sure she's well socialized, so I can take her into schools and stuff and let kids see her and work with her and hold her. Which is why, again, it's quite important to me that a lot of the animals that I get are wild type, and they actually represent what you would see in the wild. She's nice and active now because I've left her little basking spot on. Sometimes on the really hot days, especially when she's not had a feed, I'll turn it off. Just so she isn't sitting in the warm for too much. It slows down her metabolism a wee bit in between feeds. But I've kept her on for today, so she is wanting a nice explore. But this is another one. If anybody is looking at a pet, corn snakes are really good. They're really popular. I would always recommend a Royal Python. They're absolutely amazing. They're so easy to care for. Sometimes they'll refuse food, which can be a wee bit stressful. But these guys can go months without eating. Once you get that into your head, it's not that big a deal. You just try every now and then. They will eventually take it. I would always recommend the hognose first, just because it tends to have less issues with feeding. You'll see some horror stories about hognoses not taking food. That tends to come from America, where they're getting wild-caught snakes. Over here, pretty much everything is captive bred, and they're all raised on pine peas and stuff, pretty much from hatch. So they're always going to take food.
Hey, Susan.
A good one. If you're into inverts and you're thinking about branching out, snakes are a good next option. I would even go for snakes over something like a gecko or a lizard. I think they're amazing, especially royals that you can hold.
We cut quite a few in the past, but then I've made room for more inverts. But
yeah,
we're back here. Yeah, it was a cousin. One of Tara's cousins had the big boa that we had, but that was a big enclosure. That was a really big enclosure.
I mean, I would like a big snake at some point. I would like a reticulated, so one of the big retics, big like 11-foot snake. I'd love something like that. We're looking at, both me and my partner Louise, she's also really into her animal. She has her degree in zoology and her master's in bioscience as well. And she worked as a geneticist for the government. So she's like very sciencey and zoology orientated. And we would both love an emerald tree boa. That's like our kind of dream snake.
Do you know Unusual Pets?
Yes.
So you've seen what Leah and Terry keep?
Only a couple of times. So I've not really been on YouTube for that long. So I've only been joining their streams and that and watching their videos for maybe 3 months or so.
Yeah.
So not really that long. I'm still kind of seeing a lot of their collection.
There'll be a good connection for the tree bar, I would have thought.
Right. Oh, awesome. So it's a wee bit off in the future for us because we want to get the enclosure and everything first. But yeah, no, that would be awesome. I've seen the tegu. That's what Jade's just saying. I've seen the tegu before. I think that was maybe just one of the last streams actually. But yeah, I love stuff like this. I think it's quite good. I mean, inverts are like my first kind of love, especially with the academic background. But I think it's nice to have something a wee bit different as well. Reptiles are a really good option, especially you can imagine like you can't really handle your spiders. I mean, some people do, and I'll admit sometimes I'll handle a spider every now and then, but it's not something I would recommend to anybody else to do. Whereas Serene would just happily hang on my arm all day. I could sit like this for hours and just watch a movie with her, and she'd be fine. She quite actually likes when I'm in a hoodie. She likes to curl up into my pocket on my hoodie. So they're amazing wee things. Absolutely incredible.
See, handling for me of especially spiders is such a debatable subject. So I just said, my channel, I just don't do it. Mainly because I've got a lot of younger viewers, and if I handled something, they saw it and they did the same. Or if they went into Dad's spider room and went, "Oh, that's a nice big blue spider," and it was a Metallica, poked it, picked it up, and got bit. One, the guilt for me would be horrendous, but then also the public image of spiders would just disappear. And the last thing we want is the government to go, "Oh, something else for us to ban."
Yeah, and it's not just that; it's the risky at harming the spider as well. You know, even your arboreals, you drop them for standing, it's going to do damage to them. It doesn't matter what type of spider it is; it's still going to do some type of damage. If you're picking up something like an Aphonopelma or a Theraposa, it's likely the spider's going to die if you drop it standing and stuff. So.
Even like a 2-inch drop, they can split an abdomen. Yeah. But even like Pseudomonas, which are known to jump, but I always think that's a pre-programmed jump, so they've already planned it. If it's a 4, they're not like a cat; they're not just going to go bump.
Also, got to remember when these things are jumping in the wild, they're not doing it for fun. They're doing it to escape a predator that's going to eat them. So that's like that's a choice at that point. You risk a death in a jump or you get eaten by a predator. It's not the same as when you're just holding it. You're making it take an unnecessary risk that might be hardwired into it.
It's
it's not something I generally recommend, but then I also don't want to be hypocritical because every now and then I do hold them, if that makes sense. So one of the things I also do is I am an admin on the Tarantula beginner group on Facebook, and that's like one of our rules. We do a lot of stuff about no handling. Every now and then we'll let a handling thing go through, and it's got to have a disclaimer about safe handling, and it's got to say essentially that this is a massive risk to the spider, and even then we tend not to put stuff through, and that's like a beginner group that was made for a lot of handling. So it is something that's important.
I won't have any handling pictures in the WhatsApp, but people play with that. Do you know what I mean? So I've just done a blanket ban on no handling of animals full stop. But it was only because people were like literally going to extremes, to do it. But it's like, I mean, my friends handle, you know, but I don't say anything because I know they're doing it safely.
Yeah, I've made a decision recently to stop. I was going to try and socialise. So there was some cool papers came out recently that showed that tarantulas have memories and that they can be socialised in a sense, especially to smell and taste. So I was playing around with the idea of maybe socialising a tarantula for use in education, but I've completely dropped that. I'm just going to go away. From here on out, I'm not going to have handling of spiders. I mean, I'll still handle my other endeavours, but off spiders, I've just decided not to, because I don't want somebody seeing that and thinking, I can try that way. This spider I've just got in a mystery box. And then they open the box and it turns out it's an OBT and they don't know anything about that spider. Or it's, like one of the Typhosaurials and they're like, I'll be able to handle this. I'll just poke it in his burrow. And I don't want that kind of thing to be.
On socialising spiders to humans.
What was that, sorry?
I said, do you know who wrote the paper?
I might still have it on my computer. Just 2 seconds. It was just a recent one.
I mean, I won't believe it.
It wasn't so much on socialising spiders. It was on spider cognition and delayed gratification. No, I can't find it. I'll see if I can find it. I can maybe pop it on something after, because I'm sure I've got it saved somewhere. Because there was another one on bees that I was reading as well. I'm sure I saved them somewhere. But yeah, so it was on spider cognition, delayed gratification, and memory. So it was looking at the idea that spiders can remember smells, they can remember tastes, and they can delay gratification. So they can choose, say for example, they come across a piece of prey that can be scavenged, and they recognise that. They can choose not to scavenge that and to wait for fresh prey to come along to do the scavenging and then take that fresh prey. So that's what a lot of it was on. And then looking at the other stuff, I was thinking, that means you could socialise a spider in a sense. So it's the same stuff that led us to believe that snakes can be socialised. It's that idea of them being able to recall scents and smells. So it was the same sort of science. So it wasn't a paper that outright said you could socialise. I was just thinking.
It's not going to be socialised like your dog. It's literally going to go.
No, it's going to.
As a platform and go. Oh, last time I was on this warm pink stuff, I was safe.
Yeah, so basically.
That's going to be it.
It'll just change those behaviours. You're never going to have spiders haven't got brains like us. And what they do have is they have split ganglia along the body, and it doesn't have decision making processes like us. It's very different when you get into ecology and that. Although we use a lot of these terms, they mean very different things based on what we call the model organism that you're using it with. So like spider cognition is nothing like primate cognition. Because like primate cognition is nothing like reptile cognition. So you hear a lot of people shouting about anthropomorphizing and stuff with your animals. So trying to put these human aspects onto them. It's kind of like doing that when you think about it that way. There's a lot more background science that you kind of need to be aware of with this stuff. Which is why it can be quite hard when you're reading scientific papers and you see something like that. It can be hard to reconnect that with all the other science that you're missing, which is one of the things that makes science really inaccessible.
You see human emotions feelings and everything being put onto inverts all the time, under the guise of literally like, oh, she really likes it or he really likes it, and it's like, no, you like it, and that's literally what it comes down to.
So there's only really one, what you might call an emotion, although we can't categorise it as an emotion because we have no way of conceptualising or comprehending how that animal perceives it. But the only one we can link really between even the primitive and advanced invertebrates and more advanced vertebrates is stress. So we think they might experience stress in a very similar way just because it's the same stress hormone that's released, and a lot of the symptoms of that hormone seem to be the same on like muscle systems and on the reflexes and stuff of the animals. But even then, it's hard to say that they experience stress like us. You know. So
would you say the stress on the body would be similar, but then it would be the same hormone, but they're settled. I mean, they run hydraulically. It's completely different to ours. We've got skeletal and nervous system, and
they still do have some muscle tissue in between the bits. So it's like a semi-hydraulic system, especially in spiders and that. But the way cortisol acts on the system and the kind of systems that we share is very similar. So it leads us to think there might be some link between the stress that we feel and the stress that spiders feel, which is really cool. But it could also just be, it's hard to say that is the case. That might be nothing. That might just be, some of the publishers of these papers wanting to put that out there. Because again, you can never comprehend it from that other organism's viewpoint.
Hey Phil, it's just a compound that's released into the body to go move or go defensive posture or do something else, and it could
well be that if we were able to see that, like experience what the spider experiences when it releases cortisol, it may be more similar to what we would call excitement. If that makes sense, because it's just a name we give to something. So it's hard to say because excitement, even in humans, looks very similar to stress. So it could almost act on it a bit more like adrenaline, although they do have adrenal systems as well. Which makes us think there might be a difference. But it's some really cool stuff. If you're into the science of cognition and invertebrates and that, there's some really, really cool stuff going on now.
I wonder if they flood the body with it, then that is literally, that's when you see a Psalmopoeus jump out away from a predator. Or I wonder if they release a small amount and that's when they go into defensive posture.
Yeah, it could well be.
They can hair, or maybe there's another level that's released, and it's like, oh, that's food. That is.
Yeah. So a lot of the time when these hormones are released into nervous systems, it's to shut down certain behaviours than to elevate others. So when we see behaviours being elevated, it's more because we are bringing down the other ones. So that heightens the ones that are left, in a sense. There's some really interesting mechanics that goes on there.
I always just assumed wrongly that the systems are here and one gets elevated. I would have never thought that they would have got de-elevated for this one to then be dominant.
Yeah, no, we think it's more that one gets de-elevated, and that means like essentially more of the body's resources are in the other one, or that's almost like a symptom that's displayed more because the other one's shut down. It breaks that kind of equilibrium in the body.
No, that is pretty damn interesting. That's really got me thinking. Appreciate that.
But it also shows as well, in a sense, as I say, you don't want to anthropomorphize these animals too much, but you don't want to go the opposite end of that. These are still living things. They can experience stress, so you don't want to keep them in stressful environments. It doesn't matter how they experience that stress. We know it has a negative impact on them. So you still want to keep up with your husbandry and things.
Yeah,
because that was one of the arguments before when we started seeing that these animals don't really have brains like us. It was like, oh well, you just keep them in a shoebox then, and it'll be fine. But now we know, that's not the case. Science is always evolving, which is one of the really cool things about it.
Well, a long time ago, on pebbles and all sorts.
Yeah. So my mum had a tortoise when she was wee, and she was telling me recently how they had this tortoise and it went into hibernation one night, it stopped waking up during the winter. And at the time, this is way back when my mum was a teenager, so you're talking this is 50 years ago. And they were just like, oh, the tortoise is dead, we'll throw it in the bin. And then a couple of years later, my granny found out the tortoise is going to hibernation. So something that wasn't widely known then can suddenly become known, and it changes the way you look at stuff.
You can't even blame your grandma for that because the information just simply wasn't there.
Yeah, nobody knew what a tortoise was at the time. It was this cool animal. You could buy them. I'm pretty sure she said she bought it from a guy at the pub. So it's not like it was even, buying it for a pet shop or that.
You could buy monkeys and all sorts years ago and just keep them.
Yeah.
This is what the older generation told me. Going back to keeping them comfortable. I mean, just in a little example, Aphnopalma simani, everyone says terrestrial species. I put mine in this much substrate, and she's burrowed right down to the bottom, and she sits with a finger. Sits with the legs just outside her burrow.
Yeah.
And now I'm thinking I should have done deeper substrate, because if she's gone all the way down to the bottom, maybe she wanted to go even further.
Yeah.
That is one of my bugbears with keeping any spider that digs out a burrow is, I mean, Darlingi, she's in like this much substrate. She's gone right down to the bottom, and I'm like, do I need to move her down a set of racking, and maybe that will be problem solved, or do I need to put even more substrate in? Because do they go even deeper in the wild?
Yeah, it could also be to escape heat and stuff as well.
Yeah.
So depending, that's one of the things where so for example, a lot of the time I heat this room rather than just the enclosures, so everything is the same heat. So if I've got a spider that's trying to burrow to escape the heat, it's not going to be able to, and it's pretty much going to go to the bottom of that container, and it isn't going to be able to do much more. Where if, say, maybe I had a setup on the rack behind me where I was heating each rack for the top, I would be able to create a wee bit more of a gradient. So there's always wee things you can do. Also, that's why it's important to remember that they are still individuals as well. So they're animals, which means every animal is going to be different. It's going to have different preferences. It might not be preferences like us, where we like it warm, or we like it cold, or we like certain flavors of ice cream. But it might be the preference of this animal doesn't have comfort at the temperature that it says on, like Dave's little, you watch Dave's Little Beasties, and he's like, it's 24 to 26. It could actually just be an individual that for some reason, even in its genes, it's got a preference for 24 degrees, 22 degrees.
When we do videos, right, we look at the country of origin, look at their annual temperatures, then look at their ground temperatures, or wherever it's come from. So if you have an average annual temperature between 22 to 26, this is because so I include that in my care videos every time. But the issue that I've got in the background of that is it could be 26 degrees annual temperature. So we're all going, oh yeah, it's 26 degrees. But down in the burrow, it might be 18.
Yeah.
But then that's for the taxonomists to go out there and measure those temperatures down in the burrows and then bring that information back. So at the moment, we can only kind of go, well, the air temperature outside of the burrow and around the burrow is between 22 to 26.
Yeah. And even then, I mean, temperatures change in countries. You look at even rainforests and stuff, you've got a South American rainforest, it's going to have a dry and wet season. So you could be keeping something that at a steady, 60, 70% humidity. But actually, in the dry season, that spider's expecting it to drop to 30%, 40%. So a lot of people get a lot hung up on some of this stuff, and it is just trying to find what your spider seems to like. It will tell you, in a sense, if it's not happy.
Like your fossorials, if they're on the top of the substrate and they've chucked out a shitload of webbing and they haven't burrowed, that's generally because they're sensing something in that substrate that they're not liking. Because, as you know yourself, they don't taste with their paws, but it's the only way you can kind of describe it. They sense with those paws somehow. So it's like me when I'm using Irish peat moss. I've got 2 Chilibrachius wahini that have literally just gone straight down on it, and one is to this day, literally 2-3 months now, is on the top. And she used to sit on top of the cork bark, and then she webbed up the whole floor, and now she's webbed herself a little castle. And I'm thinking, I might get her out and swap the substrate over to something like potting compost and see if she'll burrow down in that.
If you're looking for a potting compost, the Westland just organic topsoil that you can get through B&M is brilliant. There's nothing else added to it. It's just topsoil. That's what I use for all my millipedes and isopods and stuff as well. And it's pretty much the cheapest you can get out there because it's not got anything added to it. It's nice and cheap. They're just literally giving you organic topsoil.
There's Irish peat moss, there's Westlands, Moorlands, and then there's Wix's topsoil. But Wix's topsoil is dirt cheap. But if you're going to use it, for fuck's sake, sieve it, because you'll find bits of plastic in there and all sorts.
Yeah.
I've
started using quite recently as well, actually, is the topsoil, and I am mixing it with the tortoise substrate from Pets at Home. So you get like a big bag for like a tenner, mix that with the topsoil. It seems to make a really good blend that I'm enjoying using.
The reason I like the Irish peat moss is one, it holds humidity, but two, when it's a burrowing species that holds humidity, and the substrate's holding humidity, I find peat moss will also hold its structure a lot better than a lot of the other ones, and then there's no vermiculate in there either. But what I discovered recently was with a lot of the cheaper composts. So if you have a look, if it says organic, this isn't going to be the case. So if you go out driving on roads and all the rest of it, the roads get dusty, they send a sweeper out. The sweeper goes around and it picks up all the shit, puts it in the back of the tank. The shit from the back of the tank then gets sifted out. So the bigger parts get put to one place. Like I'm talking hardcore type stuff. Yeah. So bricks and stuff and such, they obviously go for hardcore. But the finer particles get dumped on top of concrete, and it gets collected and sent off to composting manufacturers. And the only way I found that out was by going somewhere today. I can't really mention anything else because it involves like company names and stuff like that. But
it's not really something I've thought about before.
I literally just looked at this like wet mess and asked them about it, and they told me. Right. I was like, wow. So the compost that stuff's going into is going to break dust in it. Anything that humans throw out the car window and disintegrates, rubber tires and all the rest of it. I'm like, I said to them, do you know what company this goes to afterwards? They were like, nope. I was like, oh wow. Well, I won't be using them for the spiders.
Just on something I seen in, was it Master of Contraption in the chat, said, so do you think there may be a genetic predisposition to temperature preference? We kind of know there is. We know that's a space. So one of the things that we can do is take the genes that we are observing in certain animals, and we can insert them into other animals that we can then test in the lab. So stuff like temperature especially has been really widely documented. They insert it into little crustaceans, and then they check how that crustacean essentially develops or acts in different temperatures. So we know that even in humans, we can actually map the genes, and we know there is definitely genetic predisposition to temperature preference. And that is exactly why, even in people, you can be in the exact same temperature as somewhere, but you will feel hotter or colder, or you will be more comfortable or less comfortable in the cold. And we have also noticed that those genes seem to be across all the animal kingdom, actually, seem to be a bit more sensitive in females. So that's likely to do with them needing to maintain very strict temperatures for ovulation and for the development of embryos and eggs. So we know pretty much exactly the genes that do it, and it's definitely the case. So that means your spiders, they will have preference as to the temperature. That's why it's really important in the hobby to try different things. Obviously, you don't want to go changing everything all the time to stress your spiders. But if your spider is, say, a bit too active, or it is entirely inactive, it's worth changing something up and just seeing if you see a change.
100%. 100%. I mean, I see like humidity is played with quite a lot with water bowl, and I fill the water bowl once a week, and it's like that's not really enough.
Yeah.
And then humidity seems to be widely spread as, oh well, if my soil's wet, then that's it. That's the humidity, and it's like, well, no. That's why I like peat moss, because it slowly releases it into the environment. So the air humidity then increases instead of the soil just being wet. But that's another amazing. This is another reason why I absolutely adore moss. 8 times its own weight in water it can carry, and then it slowly releases that, so it keeps the air humidity up, which is more important than the actual soil being wet in most cases.
So sphagnum moss as well. If you put dry sphagnum in a enclosure, it won't become pliable until it's either wet, so it's either taking up moisture, or air humidity is about at the 60% mark. Before that, it will be very brittle. So if your soil isn't damp, but your sphagnum moss is still pliable, then you don't really need to water it. Your air humidity is enough. And if you've got a water bowl, that's fine, because a lot of what the spider, especially tarantulas, need anyway is internal moisture. The humidity isn't as big a deal as people make it out to be. I said a lot of these spiders, they experience dry seasons. So they're going to be fairly resistant to a lot of dry times. A little bit more tricky when it is molten and stuff, more so for after the molt, when they're trying to harden the exoskeleton. You get a little bit of humidity in there and that. But before that, it's not as big a deal as people worry about. I see people with hygrometers and stuff in their enclosures all the time. I didn't bother. I've got a wee bit of moss in it, overflow water dish every now and then, and that does it for me.
I mean, we've all done it, but nobody ever admits to it, because, especially on YouTube, because we're all big YouTubers and we're all perfect. That we've all got that fossorial species that you should keep damp all the time, and you've gone to it and you looked at the substrate and gone, fuck, that dry as a bone. And the spider's still like, yeah, I'll have that roach, thanks very much.
Yeah, it's just it's another season about to start.
I think it's more important as their slings.
Yes, definitely. They do need a lot of moisture as slings.
So as slings, we've really got to be on that. But as they get bigger, they just get more robust, as you said, a bit more bulletproof, if you like.
Yeah.
But I think humidity, especially when they're young, is important.
Yeah.
What else have we got then, Dan?
I might need to switch over to the phone for some of the other ones. So I'll take my headphones off now. I'll put Serini back, and then I'll maybe see about switching across.
All right. Are you coming off this screen onto another one then? Marketplace, Jade, is awesome for tanks. Awesome for tanks. Seeing the axolotls are out having a little munch. We're feeding them on pellets, but I reckon I'm going to try a bit of bloodworm in there. Not a lot, just a tiny little bit. Oh, chunky little shit. Alan's Place, which is Wharf Aquatics, offers reseal work on tanks. For a contraction, very interesting. Thank you for that information. Would you say there is a typical per species, or may it vary greatly per individual? I think as
back in a wee second, guys.
No worries. I think with the on a big screen, not been on a big screen for a long time. I think when it comes to individual species, it does greatly change down to the individual spider. Although there's always going to be that like 22 to 26, but the spider might be happier at 22 instead of 26. We'll just wait for. Oh, there we go. He was quick.
Yeah, I just need to change the camera. This is where I had issues the last time, but there we go. So you've seen Trumpet. She's just in her little vivarium now. We've got Serini here. She is actually going to be getting updated soon. So I've got a big, I want to say 6 foot Viv in the garage that she's been going into, but just with her being back recently, I didn't know how to change her quite yet. Over here, we've got a pretty cool wee one that came in recently. If you watched my video, this is our new little Cameroon crab spider. Don't know if you can see it on the back there. That's been a really good eater so far. So that's quite a cool wee one. Wicked fast. These huntsmans are crazy fast.
You wait to get one and have an egg sac.
I was hoping it doesn't. I mean, it's been getting a wee bit bigger, but I'm not sure it's quite the size yet.
Barristas are stunning. They're stunning.
Yeah. In here. Sorry, I'm losing my place.
No worries.
In a small room, everything goes missing so quickly. In here, we've got a little undescribed species. So I'm still not too sure what it is. I think it's a nursery web spider of some kind, probably Pusarina. It did drop an egg sac, which you can kind of see in the bottom, going a wee bit mouldy over there. Nothing seems to have came off it. I'm hoping it might put another, because if it is a nursery web, they can hold spermatophores in between molts, and it might be able to release them. In this enclosure, we have one of my favourite. Oh, nearly dropped the phone. We have one of my favourite inverts. So this is Damon Medius, which is one of the tiger whip spiders. So when I was in the Amazon on that research trip I was mentioning earlier, I found a massive whip spider. And I had it on my face at one point, and you're talking its legs could wrap around the side of my head still. It was massive. But these are amazing little critters. If nobody's got one of these yet, they're in stock quite a lot, and they're so cool. You don't see them being very active, but they're just amazing to have. They look like something in a sci-fi movie. They're so cool. Whenever anybody comes into the collection to see stuff, that is one of the ones that always stands out to them. My collection isn't actually too big at the moment, so I've not got a lot. Up here, I have got a Uphai fani, so that came in recently. That is one of the Ornithoctonus species, a Thai burrower. I've got some red-spined millipedes and red-legged millipedes that you'll never see. I've got some piggy isopods, and in here, just need to put the phone down a wee second.
No worries. I read Damien Medius a few years ago, videos by Mad Animal House.
Oh, awesome. That's what I'm considering doing with that one. Maybe going to get paired at some point. I've still no sexed it yet. I wanted to give it some time to get these sets enclosure to open out so I could see it.
You can sex them off the front legs.
Yeah. I just wanted to give it time to stretch out because at first it was still holding itself really tight.
Sexually dimorphic though.
Yeah, so it looks like it is female, but I just want to give it a wee chance to stretch its legs out just so I can double check with the tibia and the bed pulps. This was one of the classroom pets, so I think it is closed up at the moment. Yeah, so this is Alyssicatina fulica. So it's one of the Madagascan land snails, giant land snails. It's endemic. It's only found in Madagascar. This one was captive bred. But this was named by my first year class at school, and this is Slim Snaily. So they've got some brilliant names for some of the animals. And this guy was one of my favourites.
That's awesome.
Down here, I've just got a couple of drawers of little isopods that I keep for bioactive setups and stuff. These are just the little acrylic drawers that you can get in B&M. I just drilled some, air holes in them, and it seems to work really well. Just means I can keep them nice and secure. There is a couple of giant millipedes in here, so you can kind of see our giant African millipede in here. And at the back, there's also a giant chocolate millipede. So this one also has a name named by the kids, and that is Bagel, the giant millipede. Below it, I've got a couple more isopods. In here, I've got some shadow roaches, and below it, I've got what I think are sunbeetles. It's a Pachnoda species that I am still waiting to come out of their cocoon to see what they are, but it could still be a couple of months for those. In the rest of this rack, I tend to keep a lot of my tarantulas. So I keep forgetting what the camera is. So this is one of the recent ones. This is one I got my partner when she was a teenager. She went on a little field trip to Costa Rica. And this was one you actually done a guide for recently. So this is Salmopaeus reduncis, the Costa Rican orange mouth. And it is such a cool little tarantula. It's been out quite a lot since I've got it. I've had this room dark most of the day to see if they would come out when I came round. So that one's sitting out just showing off itself. Next to it, I've got another little arboreal, the Javan tree tiger, which is a really nice tarantula when it comes out, but it seems to be hiding now. The black-fanged wandering spider is sometimes out. Sometimes it's in the back of its bark, but it's got a little hide down in here that it likes to use. That's another really cool one. This one again, this is our gold-fanged wandering spider, which is an amazing spider. Quite often it's in there, but I just fed it earlier. So it likes to hang out at the back. Yeah. So this one, it's hard to kind of get across on camera how big it is, but this is quite a big gold-fanged wanderer. It's a decent size. I've not noticed any pedipalps or anything on it yet, so I'm hoping it's going to be a female. Then we'll maybe get that paired up at some point. I got it in at roughly that size, so if it is, there's a chance it could be wild caught and it could be gravid. Which is another thing in the hobby. I'm not entirely sure how comfortable I am with wild caught specimens. But I mean, I didn't mind it too much. You know, when I was doing the kind of field research I was talking about earlier, it was all wild animals we were catching. And surveying, and a lot of the time you're putting them to sleep, you're using ethanol because you're bringing essentially the corpses back with you. So I've maybe got a slightly different outlook on it to some people, maybe slightly more normalised. Up the back here, don't know if it can be seen.
Just see the legs.
Yeah. So this is one of the curly hairs. This is Clitocatl albopilosis, and she's the one where I just got her molt earlier. So I've just got it pinned up drying, and she is a confirmed female. So this was the first one I ever got that came in the mystery box. But she's an awesome little tarantula. She's a true as well, a true form. So is it the Nicaraguan or is it the Honduran? Whichever one's the true, that's what she is. And I've got a boyfriend over here, which is a confirmed male. So I do have another. So that's going to be a breeding project in the future. I've got another. This is going to be really hard to see. Another little undescribed spider. So I did think at first this was maybe a little orb weaver. It doesn't seem to be. I think it's maybe like a grass spider or a bark spider. But the markings are weird, which made me think it was maybe one of the orb weavers at first, but I'm not too sure. Behind that, you can probably tell just from the webbing on the enclosure. This is one of my favourite spiders in the hobby. It is the OBT. So it's recently molted, so it's not been out too much. Its feet, its old boots, are just kind of kicking about up the back there. I don't know if you can see them.
Yeah, just.
And yeah, so it's just kicked off its boots. I've not found the rest of its molt, which I was really hoping to get because I'd love to be able to sex that as well. But that's one of my favourite tarantulas. That was a juvenile when I got it. The last I seen it was looking quite a decent size after that last molt. I think it's maybe just started to move into sub-adulthood. Down here, we have another one of my favourites. This is actually my girlfriend's spider. And let's see if you can see it. This is C. elegans. So the little Trinidad dwarf. Such a cool little spider. It has recently just went into this little enclosure. It was in a much smaller one. After its last molt, I decided to move it up a bit. So it's still kind of exploring this. It's not really dug many tunnels yet. It's just put down a little web mat. But that's a cool little guy. I've also got another dwarf species, D. pentaloris. So I've got a sling of this as well. But actually this one's out as well. There's the little D. pentaloris I got recently, the Guatemalan tiger rump. Below it, we have probably my favourite spider in the room. I don't know if we can see it. There's a lot of webbing points and stuff. But this is a Tibetan wolf spider. Kind of see it for this side. So I got it from Spider Shop when it first came into stock. I was really hoping to get a female. Unfortunately, I was a wee bit late to the party, so I wasn't able to snag one of the females. Sorry, I'm not sure what's going on with my camera. There we go. I wasn't able to snag one of the females, but it's got amazing colour, and you can kind of see that almost tiger-type pattern underneath. Those are really cool spiders. If you're looking for something that isn't a tarantula, I would thoroughly recommend one of the wolf spiders. They are incredible. Their hunting instincts are like second to none. It's so cool when you drop that cricket across the other side of the container and you see it just bolt across and properly smash into its prey. So impressive. In here is probably my favourite spider that I own. So this is another one I got recently. And actually, rather excitingly, it looks like it's started to cover up its burrow. So that might even be a molt happening. This is Pheroposa apophysis. So it is considered one of the smaller of the Pheroposas. So a couple of researchers I know, though, who have looked at these in the wild, are pretty certain that this is the biggest spider in the world. It's just that the way we're keeping it in captivity haven't really helped it reach those sizes. But almost everything that they've sampled in the wild has still had growth. And at the same kind of what they consider might be the same growth stage as some of the other Pheroposas, it's been bigger.
Dan, with
so the continues, it might be bigger. It won't be as heavy-bodied. It won't be the heaviest spider, but it could well be the widest, which would be really cool if that turns out to be true. I do still want a blonde eye at some point because they're just incredible.
With the Pheroposa blondie, sturmy, and apophysis.
Yeah, this is the apophysis.
Yeah, a friend of mine called John. He's 40. His dad first brought them into the UK. Oh, wow. So over the last 40 years, John's kind of seen them developing the hobby, and he's always said wild caught specimens are always bigger than the captive bred, and he said you can see it over the years. The captive bred ones are getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
He said, but the wild caught ones can be absolutely massive, and he says like a lot of them are nowhere near the size that they used to be.
Yeah, that'll likely be the case.
So currently the Blondie is the heaviest tarantula. But yeah, the Apophysis is supposed to be.
Some of Elmas are reaching it as well, though. They can be very rotund.
But the biggest spider in the world is the Australian. What is it now? It's a huntsman. It's if you the urban clock legend, it's literally the same size as that. As a dinner
I think they just call it the house huntsman. I'm not sure what its scientific name is.
No, I can't remember the name. But
that's spider. Sorry, I was meaning tarantulas.
Yeah, well.
But yeah, I'd love one of them as well. Though was it no Jeremy that had a couple of them?
I think he got them through Spider Shop. But my friend lives in Australia, and he says those big spiders scare the shit out of him. But he keeps them. He won't collect them and chuck them into his garden or anything. He keeps them alive in his garage because they take out all the redbacks.
Oh, right, yeah.
So when you've got kids,
if you're in Australia, you're going to be seeing stuff like that at literally every corner, aren't you? So it's not actually that big a deal.
Yeah, to phone up the game warden to come and remove I think it was a crocodile or an alligator from his swimming pool.
I know. I was visiting Australia a few years ago, about 10 years ago or something now. But I remember my cousin saying that by law, if they've got a swimming pool in their garden, they need to have a crocodile fence to stop them getting in.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it is to us because we don't live there. But I suppose, like you say, if you live there, it's just check the pool for we go swimming. That's it.
Yeah.
And they still do, don't they? And you think, you live with crocodiles. What are you doing?
I mean, it's just in the northern territories, isn't it, really? They've got them a wee bit further in, but it's the north where you get these massive saltwater crocodiles, like 20 plus feet, which is like hard for us to comprehend a reptile that size.
Yeah.
The crocodilians are so cool. One of the things I done when I was in the Amazon actually was go out to survey black caiman. So they're quite a bit smaller. But we were in the water. We were also looking for anacondas, but we never found any. Yeah, they're amazing when you see them up close. They're such cool animals. And when you hear them rattling and almost barking, it's crazy. They're so cool. So here we have got, so again, this is away for the tarantulas a wee bit, but I've got a pair of Blue Mountain jumpers. So I've got a male at the front here. He's just kind of hiding in his webbing. Yeah. Let me focus on him. And then I've got a female at the back. So these are both, I want to say I6. I'll need to check my tracker. So in a few more molts, these guys will be ready to breed. So that's going to be another project. In here is one of my favourite little kind of smaller spiders. This is a Nendep, so one of the Haptopelma species. But it's such a cool little, at least semi-fossorial. I think it could be just a fossorial. I'll need to see how it is when it gets older, but it's got the habits of a semi-fossorial at least. That one needs to get put up into a bigger enclosure as well. But that's such a fun little spider. Again, the prey drive on it is just crazy. Down here, I've got a couple more sub-adults, just in our little megaplast. So this is the Canthoscurria sternalis. So I've got a pair of Argentinian giant black crumps. These are actually quite hard spiders to get a hold of in the UK, and I have got a sexed male and female. These have just recently molted. They're not, neither of them are mature yet. The female does seem to be more mature than the male. It seems to be a wee bit bigger, so I'm hoping these will both mature around the same age, rather than being from the same clutch or that. And that'll be awesome. This is a Canthoscurria sternalis. So they do pop up every now and then, but you really didn't find them that much in the hobby. There's no really even very much about them online in terms of keeping them and stuff.
I think going by the genus, if they're roughly the same size, the female will mature a long time before the male. But the male will mature.
So
sorry.
Yeah,
before the-
so that's what I'm saying. The female's a bit bigger. That's why I'm hoping that they'll mature around the same time. That makes sense. I'm hoping the female's a little bit further on because they were sold as a pair, which usually is kind of the sort of thing you'll do. You'll sell a further on female with a slightly behind male so that they are maturing around the same time.
Depends where you go to buy them from.
Yeah, these were the spider shops, so I'd hope that they're
Yeah.
they tend to be fairly switched on. But we'll see. If not, it's not too bad to tell when they're mature. Sorry?
Do you buy anything from Spar Spiders?
No, spider shop, sorry.
No, I mean,
Yes, yes.
have you been and bought anything from Spar Spiders?
Yes, a couple. I can't remember what was up here. This Elegance was definitely from Spa Spiders.
Luke gets some really rare stuff in.
Yeah,
It takes a lot
yeah,
to the shoes though instead of putting it on the website, but
yeah. I keep meaning to get more from them, but it just so happened that a lot of the time when I was wanting to make an order, there was other inverts I was wanting as well.
yeah.
So that's why it kind of almost limited me a wee bit more to Bugs and TSS. But now that I'm kind of happy with a lot of the other inverts I've got, there's no too many that are on my bucket list apart from the True Spiders. I'm probably going to start using like Luke a lot more. Because I prefer the way he is and the FXE's company and stuff. So I'd like to support him a lot there.
Oh, I love Luke, mate. He only lives up the road from me.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of your streams and your videos and that.
Such a nice geezer. If you order from the Spider Shop for a tiny little discount, I think it's like 5%. If you use capital letters Scott and then the number 5, that gets you a 5% discount.
Yeah, that was so. Well, I got these. I'll put that in. Safety's a wee bit. This is our M. balfouri, which is a species that I've wanted for ages and never kept. So it's just fresh into its container. But you can see it's already starting to put up some nice webbing, and that's a decent size. So I got that, the Upai Fani, the Depentaloris, and oh god, what was it? The Javan Tree Tiger, all in a £90 mystery box, which is crazy because the Balfouri and the Upai Fani together come to 90 quid already. So you basically got 2 free spiders. Which I
And the
would
roof-
recommend for everybody because mystery boxes can be a bit hit and miss, especially if you're new to the hobby and you don't know what you're going to get. But I love a mystery box, I can't help it.
Generally, mystery boxes, yeah. Bugs UK, Bugnut, and Spider Shop. If you get to the British Tarantula Society show next year, Spar Spiders does mystery boxes. And
I've wanted one of the Spa Spiders boxes for about 3 years, but I've never been able to get to the BTS.
we do them on the stream afterwards, on the Tuesday stream after the BTS.
I noticed that at the last one. I was gutted. In here, we have got a little pale ladybird spider, S240, which is an awesome little thing. It's looking nice and fat. I've had this for quite a few molts, though, so I don't think it's gravid. I think it's just basically a wee fatty. I might need to pull back on some of the stuff that I'm feeding it for a wee bit. I've got a pair of red wandering spiders. These are unsexed. I got them at different times, so we'll see. We might turn out to be a pair. And here, there's another undescribed little spider. This was the one that in my last video, it was just labelled fast. And at the time, putting it in, it was a piece of piss. It just went straight in. I never had any issues. Since then, I've moved into a different one. And it's up there. It done like 50 laps of the container as soon as I opened the lid. And then just luckily went back in. So it is definitely fast. But it's a beautiful spider, the orange thing.
True Spider Mystery Box yet? Video.
Sorry?
Has your True Spider Mystery Box video come out yet?
That's a good point, actually. That's what this was in, so it's next week. No, next week, tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. I am so messed up with my days. Because I'm used to teaching where every day is standard, as soon as I get a holiday like this, it just messes with my head. In here, I've got a mystery wandering spider, which I think is in molt at the moment, at least pre-molt. I've not seen it in a couple of days, and it seems to have made a wee hide. And a little mystery, what I thought was an orb weaver, but I am now pretty sure it is one of the hairy grass spiders. It is really, really well camouflaged underneath that lump there. So it's really hard to see, but that's a really cool wee spider.
Oh, you would guess at a bark, yeah.
Yeah.
Dependent.
Yeah. I've not really had a great chance to sex it. I want to get a look at that. one of my next videos I am going to be doing is actually going to involve these guys. So this does need put into a bigger container, but I have got now a mature male Herodula patilifera, so the Haribiro, got a mature female and another mature female. So I'm probably going to breed these this weekend, or at least give them a go. So if you look at the arse on that one, I've been really fattening them up because I do not want to lose this male before I've done at least the 2 sections. So they've been getting a lot of food, hoping that they didn't just snatch his head off.
I do.
I was at a conference once for entomology. It was just a university conference. And I don't know if a lot of people are aware with some of the behaviours when mantises are mating, but they were talking about some mantis conservation and how they can promote conservation of the lesser known mantises in the Myanmar region. And one of the professors up the back just said, "Oh, that's really easy. You just chop their fucking heads off." Because male mantises will still go through the act of mating headless. So the female can grab them, eat their head, and they're still going to produce a lot of the spermatophores that the female can then use to fertilise. And actually, it works better because there's no shut-off mechanism for it. So the eating the female mantis is actually a really good adaptive trait for the female. And because the male is passing on its genes, it's done its job. It's actually a really good adaptive sexual trait for the males as well. In here, there is some really cool little guys. These are ivory millipedes. So I've got a group of 5. They've been doing really well. They've been putting on some good size. I am hoping that they will breed soon. I need to fill up their container a little bit more. So to put this into perspective, how busy they've been, this was full up to here in substrate when I first put them in. So they will eat it and they'll kind of digest a lot of it and it'll kind of clump down. So I need to fill up with a wee bit more organic matter, but they've been doing really well, getting really big. So I'm hoping at some point I'll see some baby millipedes in there. I have got my girlfriend's first slime. So this is an absolute classic in the hobby, Psalmopoeus pulcher. An awesome little guy that's been, again, putting on some good weight. I'm looking forward to being able to put that one into a bigger enclosure because the Panama Blonde is just a beautiful spider.
Psalmopoeus for in my books are just amazing genus.
Yeah. One of the other admins in that tarantula group I was mentioning earlier, she is like a Psalmopoeus nut. She's got all of them now. She's pretty much completed the collection for Psalmopoeus. She's raised them all from sling to maturity. She's like a proper wizard when it comes to Psalmopoeus. This is our little tiny pygmy wood scorpion, and it's just a young one. There's no chance I'm going to be able to find that because they are tiny. Maybe I'll get my UV light. It's not sure if I'm going to do it. You can just see it. I don't know if I can get the angle with the torch, unfortunately, to see it. It is phosphorescent in there, bioluminescent. I don't think I can get the angle with the phone, unfortunately. But yeah, it's just a tiny little thing. They're already small scorpions. With this one being a scorpion, it is absolutely minuscule. Such a cute little spider. Up the back, I've got a red snapper centipede, which I did have a clutch from, but unfortunately something went wrong. I think I spilt the water dish at one point, and I think it just made the substrate too damp for it, and it ate the clutch. So unfortunately, I lost the clutch for this one.
What species is it?
It's Spotstigmus scaber.
Yeah.
So centipedes. And down here, I've got another one of my favourite spiders, actually, but you don't get to see it very often, so it's an absolute treat when you do. This is the segmented trapdoor spider. So L. Yunqing. Its burrow is just in the corner here. You can kind of see the attachment points for its lid, but that's so cool when you see it pop up the lid and come out. Up the back, I've got my little homemade sling tower, which has been working pretty well. It's just those little really useful boxes and like a little drawer system. I've glued some magnets onto the back to make sure it doesn't fall out and some at the bottom so it kind of holds the shelf well. And this is what I've been using for a few of my slimes rather than pots. It seems to be working well so far. I've not really got any more arboreal stuff in there, so I don't need to worry about having to move them up into something a bit taller. You don't really need to with young slings anyway. Some of these are very small. I've got a Seriocosmus Leetsii in here, which when I got it was smaller than 2 mil. So I had it in a little petri dish. I was looking under my dissection microscope, and I've got a little measurement piece for the eyepiece, and it was under the 2 mil mark, which is the bottom my measurement went for it. So a very small sling. In here, I've just got another couple of millipedes, some yellow millipedes, Orthomorphus. These have actually recently crashed. I'm not too sure what's going on with them. I don't think it's a humidity issue. That was my first thing. I'm not sure if it is, but I've not changed the soil in a while, and anybody who keeps these will know that they start to secrete cyanide, and I'm wondering if there's been a little cyanide build-up. So tomorrow I am going to switch them out and get some fresh soil in there just in case. I have got the rest of my mantises in cups down here, so I like to keep a lot of my mantises in cups when they're young. Just makes it a lot easier to feed them, and they don't actually need that much space. Here's a little dead leaf mantis. I have got a pair of Sphodromantis lineola, which is the African line mantis. So those are paired in sex, so they're going to be getting paired at some point. At the back, I've got a pair of giant Asian mantises, so Membranacea. They are sexed as well, so they'll be getting paired. In this kind of slightly bigger enclosure, I have got an adult giant Asian mantis. So this was one that was in the classroom, and this one was affectionately called Diva, which was a very clever stroke from the kid, because when I first sexed this, I incorrectly sexed it as a male, and now that it's matured, it's a female. So they got it right with Diva. I was trying to get her an adult male, which there was a couple available, but I wasn't really looking for anything else for the site, and I kind of grudged to pay the tenner to get it delivered if I'm only getting one thing, so I put it off. And eventually I got all of these instead. At the back behind these, I have got, it's out actually, I got my little, it's Chelictonus intermedia, so this is the dark creeper scorpion. So that's not out very often. I've not fed it in a wee while because it looked like it was in pre-molt, so I don't know if it's maybe looking for actually it's looking very shiny, it might have molted. So I'll maybe give that a couple of days and give it a little feed. Its water dish is actually looking quite empty as well. I don't know if it looks like it's been digging around it, but I'll need to fill that up later. And then underneath it, I have Scorpio Morris. So the Israeli golden scorpion, or the large clawed scorpion. So that one you'll never see, it's never out. But it's a really cool one to have in the collection. When you do get to see it, it's another one of those ones that's an absolute treat. So I quite like the animals that hide, because when you've got a few like this, I mean, I've not got the biggest collection, but when you've got a few, it means you're never really missing anything, because there's always something out to watch. And it means when those lesser seen animals do come out, it's a really special moment. It's so cool.
It's never the amount of individual inverts. It's the passion behind the keeper, I think.
Yeah. Yep. And here I've got one of my favourites. These are my rubber duckies. There's none really. Now, again, this is one that you don't see very often, but when you do, it's just amazing. These are so cool. These are the reason that I got interested in isopods. I didn't have them for a long time. I was lucky enough to get someone in one of the groups that I'm part of offer me them for 30 quid. So I got 5 rubber duckies. Actually, I got 6 because they sent me another one, just in case one didn't make it. I got 6 of them, including postage, for 30 quid.
Where was that
crazy
from?
good. It was in an auction group. I want to say it was the Podfather. I'll have to double check. But yeah, it's in a wee auction group. But it was I was so lucky when it popped up.
There's
So
a lot of the
this
auction
was just somebody in the group that offered them to me as well. In here, I have got my centipedes. So centipedes are one of my favourite animals. I've seen some giant centipedes in the rainforest, and since then I've just been kind of infatuated with some of these big centipedes. Obviously, they've got quite a nasty bite on them. It's not something that I really go handling or anything. I tend not to disturb them at all. But saying that, maybe see if we can get a wee look.
Yes, Dale!
So this is our tiger leg centipede, one of my favourites. So S. hynanum, an amazing centipede. Actually quite docile for a centipede as well. It's not quite as active as you might see with your Dehanais and stuff, but a really cool centipede and some really cool colours. At the back, I have got my, I forgot its name now, Alipes multicostus, I believe. The fellow leg centipede. This is one that I'll probably no go disturbing because it's kind of quite new in to the collection. So I want to give it a little bit more time to establish its burrow and stuff. But it's the feathertail centipede, and this is an awesome centipede. It's got really cool structures on its terminal legs, little flag structures that we don't entirely know what it's for yet. The two main guesses are that it's for attracting females, or it's for attracting predators away from the head. So if anything, it is kind of trying to get to it.
I mean, I had flagtails for quite a while. You disturb them and they clap.
Yeah, they're so cool. They're awesome. I can't wait till that one gets a bit bigger.
It is either to get the predator away from the head, or to make them maybe look bigger.
Yeah. So the diverting it for the head seems to be what a lot of the papers are saying at the moment. But again, it's really hard to tell with animal behaviour, especially if you can't observe that behaviour in the wild, which we've not really done. So obviously we found the animal, we can see the structure, but we've never really seen it used in that situation. These guys are so much fun. So these are Maclay's spectres. So another thing I do actually is I work at Edinburgh Zoo in the education department. So I'm one of the discovery and learning associates. This is the Maclay's spectre, and this is one of the inverts that we do animal handling sessions with. So when we're teaching about invertebrate biology and stuff, Maclay's spectres, or the giant spiny stick insect, are one of the animals that we use for that. So I got a pair for the classroom. These are both females. The kids named them both Stephen. So this is Stephen, the Maclay's spectres. But they're really good. In National Forum Beyond, we teach about the different types of reproduction. So we teach sexual and asexual reproduction. And these guys can reproduce through both. So if you've got a male, it can fertilise the female's eggs. In that case, they'll take about 4 months to hatch. If you don't have a male, the females can just lay eggs that are exact clones of themselves, they're copies. They take about 9 months to hatch. So they're really cool to have in the classroom for teaching stuff like that. I need to give them some more food. I've got the brambles sitting down here for them. I just thought that I wouldn't put it in there now because it's easier to see them when all the leaves under there. That's the Indian stick insect I was talking about after. I've got a whole bunch of feeders because I am really bad at going to the shop to get feeders and forgetting I've already bought feeders and coming back with another 3 packs. So I've got loads in here, but I'll go through them pretty quickly anyway. I've got my flies and stuff down there. I do also breed a couple of my own, so I breed my own waxworms. I also breed my own roaches, so I've got a wee dubia colony. And I was breeding my mealworms for a while, but I just felt like that wasn't worth the hassle because they're so easy to get to. Down here, if you watched my beetle breeding video, you'll have already seen these guys. This is P. savagei, so one of the Ugandan stag beetle, or Ethiopian stag beetle. Oh, that is the male and the female, actually. So I've already observed these guys mating, so I know that I am expecting something soon. It's not showing them, it's quite hard to see on the camera. They're just down here. I have observed these guys breeding. I have observed the female burrowing and not seen her for a couple of days. So I'm expecting there will be, she's at the very least fertilised. So that should be a success. So hopefully in the future, I'll have a little bit on grub breeding. And with stuff like this, if I am able to breed it, I want to do giveaways at some point. So I'll get in touch with some people, maybe do it as a giveaway, just get them to show me what they're planning to keep it in, etc. And we'll give them some of the grubs from the collection and from the stuff we're breeding. The same with the mantises. I think that'd be a really cool thing to do.
Let me know when you do a giveaway. I'll support that.
Yeah. I'll pop through the living room now. You'll have to excuse the mess because we're doing a lot of rejigging at the moment. This is something I was considering making a video for, but I've decided not to. We've got a big 240-litre tank that we've recently got that we are in the middle of scraping out. So there's a lot of stuff moving around, but I know you'll like these next ones. So this was another animal that I got for the classroom because it is massive in science at the moment. There is so much work being done with it. There is so much work being done on especially cancer research because they seem to be almost not able to get cancer, even though they can regrow entire limbs. So they have a lot of cell division going on, and that is the axolotl. So these guys are in a very little tank, but that's just because they're in the process of getting moved. So I've got a pair of axolotls. The kids affectionately called these Axel and Otto. I wanted to name them Toothless and Luna after the dragons that we had to train your dragon, but they were having none of that. So this is Axel and Otto. But they're amazing little guys. Probably my favourite animal.
Stephen and Cheryl.
Yeah, I was just watching that earlier. Stephen and Cheryl's good names as well. Like, yeah, these are amazing animals.
Leah says if you drop her a message with your address, she'll send you some tufa over for the duckies. You'll see them more.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you very much. These ones I'll come back to in a wee second because we'll maybe feed them.
She sells a lot of substrates and food. Oh wow, that tank is cool as fuck.
This is one it's got a wee bit wild. This is where the axolotls are going to be going into. So this is, I want to say, a 4-foot tank, just over 200 litres, maybe like 220 or something. But the axolotls are going to be in here. These are just a few. There's only a few things in here. We've got some Thai glass cats over here. We've got some rock gobies, some ember tetras, some giant mystery snails, which are huge. They're belters. We've got a couple of L number plex in here for the guys that are into plex. I think we've got an L128 and perhaps an L40. I'll need to double check. We might not have got the L40 actually. It might just be L128. And some anchor catfish. So they'll be going into that big tank. The axolotls will be going into there. I've also got a little shrimp tank. So I recently got into shrimp again. It's the ADD. We've got shrimp. Got a few of them, just the skittle shrimp, which have been really cool. I do also have freshwater limpets in the tank, which is a bit of a pain. But this tank's been doing pretty well. It's kind of my first go at a planted tank. And I'm quite happy with how the plants have been going. There's been no CO2 or anything. And, let me grab my feeders actually for these guys. Oh, I forget how warm the animal room is still going to there.
What's going in the empty fish tank that you're just escaping?
So this is, the Thai cats are going to go in here. We're going to have the ember tetras in there. We're probably going to get some more. I'd like to get some CPDs, some celestial pearl danios. We're not really too sure. We're just going to kind of scape it up and then see how we feel about the tank.
That'd make a lovely Malawi tank.
Yeah, we had considered, we quite like our cichlids and stuff. Louise quite likes our community tank, or like our different species community tanks, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
These guys are really cool. So I was wanting to get, this was before we had the axolotls, I was trying to get the axolotls, but the breeder was always out of stock on them. And I had promised the kids that I would get them some amphibians for the class. So I ended up with these little guys. These are Asian floating frogs. They are awesome little guys. You can keep them with a lot of other little fish, as long as it doesn't really nip, because they are frogs that stay on the surface. So a lot of people will keep them with African clawed frogs. They've got special air sacs in their head, which allow them just to float. They do like stuff to hold on to as well, so it's good to have, like floating plants. Another thing I've done is I've got a piece of cork bark in there, which I just change out every now and then, and that gives them like a floating log to sit on. But these are such cool little fun guys. And they just eat cricket, so if you're already feeding your animals, it is really easy to look after them as well. I give them a nice little mix. I usually feed them in the morning. So, someone just took one in the corner. I don't know if you've seen that. So they might not be quite ready to feed. But these are amazing little frogs. And you can just keep them in your standard tanks, which is awesome.
That's a beautiful setup.
This is, I can't even remember how old this tank is. Oh no, this is pretty new actually. I rescaped it all when it came back from the school. So this is the one we had in there. But the kids loved it. And it's a shame because, it's biology I teach. It was a biology classroom. They had, biology is the most popular science at the school by far, but there was not any animals in the school. Which I think is mental, because if anybody wants to take biology, it's not to learn about, like protein structures or anything like that. It's to learn about animals. And they didn't have any that could actually see. Anyway, just got his cricket. But if you see these at fish shops, get some. They're so cool. And as I say, you can keep them with a lot of fish because they will just float on the surface. They don't tend to chase fish. I've seen a couple of, we've got one other little one. We've got a little Sakura cherry shrimp tank. This is my girlfriend's shrimp tank. These are so red. She's been line breeding them for quite a while, and they're just turning out amazing. But those floating frogs are awesome. They're such good little pets. They're so easy to keep. Oh, there's sorry, 2 more things, and then I think that's me showing everything. We have got Elton. So he is in here temporarily. He's just under quarantine at the moment. And then he will be going into the tank that the axolotls are in once we move them out. So we done him just a little scape set up while he's settling in. But he's a koi better, and he is a grade AA+. So he's actually quite a decent koi. We've got a brilliant little fish shop near us. If anybody's near Edinburgh, check out East Lothian Aquatics. It's like a little family-run fish shop. They are incredible, the stuff they get. And they've not always got the biggest stock because it is just a family business, but he cares about the fish and he quarantines them and stuff, and he's really good. And then the last one is, because I've not got anywhere to keep it yet, our morning geckos. So we got some little morning geckos in here. Just earlier this week, there's one just on the edge here, actually. It's annoying. The light in my tank is broken. I need to get it fixed. Maybe we'll just see a tail. I just seen one earlier in the week against the glass, and it looks like there's an egg developing. So I might get some babies for these guys soon. And I need to actually change that out because that's went all mouldy.
Videos by Mad Animal Houses might have to pay them a visit, the aquatics.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's everything. Oh, apart from one more, I'll see if I can get them to come through. Okay. My cat won't listen, but this is Noki. So he is a Siberian Husky. He's kind of the first one that came into the house. He's a really special dog. So he is Polish. He comes from right on the Siberian border, partly in the Siberian forest, which is really cool. When we first got him, he didn't speak much English. We had to teach him English, so he knows a bit of Polish. He gets really excited when people speak to him in Polish. So we've got quite a lot of Polish speakers around here. And his granddad performed in, I'm sure it was the Iditarod. I'll have to double check with the person who we got him from. But his granddad was definitely he was a working line racing Siberian. But he's really good for a dog. Like for a husky, especially. He's so chill and he's so well behaved.
What a gorgeous dog.
Yeah, I need to get him a few more videos. It's hard to see in this lighting. But he's actually quite special. You don't get very many red huskies that have those blue eyes. But he's got a wee bit I don't know what he's done to his eye, but one of his eyes is a wee bit swollen now. Oh, it's looking better, pal.
I don't think they are, Carly, but you will have to check with Tim. Moroccan fat-tailed scorpions, are they allowed in the UK? I think they're DWA, but like I said, check with Tim because I'm not too up on them.
But yeah, I think that's everything. I think I'll try and switch back to my computer quickly if you're still going.
Yeah, no worries.
Well, thinking this, I'll be back in a second.
Oh. Way, we've gone massive again. That's better. A little bit better. If one of the moderators could just put Dan's channel link back into the comments, that would, what the hell is that? That would be absolutely fantastic. And again, if you're not following the guy, go give him a subscription. It's all about the sharing, and I think Dan's channel, especially with his knowledge, is just going to get better and better. 1 second. Boom.
Well, I got some back. You'll get it as well. It's one of the things about being ginger is if you've got too many lights on, it messes with exposure in your camera. Like the difference when I take my hat off, and it just turns everything white because it can't handle ginger skin.
It's when I edit a video and I'm looking at myself and I'm going, I'm not that colour. My skin's not that colour. And then I have to darken it down slightly so you can see the shadows and stuff. Because like you said, I mean, on the phone, I don't look too bad. But on my laptop, I just look like I'm a white mess.
Yeah. I remember it'd be like a big thing when Sony came out with a camera that automatically adjusts for darker skin colours. But nobody's done it for the gingers yet. We always get left to the last.
Yep. We never take a decent picture and never look good on camera. Oh, my son works with reptiles. He's just got a call to collect a scorpion found in somebody's house. It looks like a Moroccan fat tail, and they've just come back from Morocco. Carla, get in contact with Tim Baxter. He will give you all the details. If it is DWA, he may also know somebody that lives close to you that can come pick it up. Unless your son's got a DWA, obviously. Failing that, you can take them into a reptile shop because, if I remember rightly, reptile shops can house DWA.
Yeah, so any reptile shop should be able to. It'll probably eventually have to go into a zoo or something. So all zoos carry the licenses for these. Or at least I think every zoo in the UK does.
Tim carries his DWA and he's like one of the UK leading experts currently. Yeah. And I think half of his collection I've literally just been, oh shit, I found this in my suitcase. Or they've been from people that haven't had a license that have been keeping them and then handed them to him because they've had, second thoughts. And
yeah, it's so easy to bring stuff back from other countries.
Yeah, of course.
A couple of years ago, I'd considered when I was in, me and my girlfriend visited Lisbon in Portugal, and there was some nice house geckos there, and I was like, I could just put that in my suitcase and play dumb if I get caught. But I decided,
it must get done almost on a daily basis.
Yeah.
But I mean, going back to being a little bit, don't know where to sit with wild caught. My personal view is wild caught's essential. We need it.
Yeah.
That fresh DNA is more important than what a lot of people kind of think it is. Again, it's not a case of we need wild caught for a certain species every year. No, we need it for every few generations. We need to bring wild caught in because obviously spiders, unlike mammals, they don't necessarily have gene defects after the first lot. With John, his dad brought the Theraposes in, and after 40 years, he's now noticing that the Theraposes are getting smaller. So now would be a good time to bring some of those wild caught in. 40 years on, not every year.
Yeah.
And when you talk about wild caught coming in, people just automatically assume that you're just going to go into the wild and get thousands every week. But not that wouldn't be my idea.
Yeah. It's also it's one of those things where we need to take responsibility as hobbyists. If there's a lot of well caught specimens, it's because hobbyists aren't breeding enough, essentially. Which is why we need.
I can't remember the name. I can't remember the name of it, but Voltner has just rediscovered a cave tarantula. Lives solely in caves in the dark, pitch black.
Cool.
So its eyes are a lot smaller. Its legs are a lot longer. But the
Is
problem
this the one they're calling the bat-eating tarantula or something? I seen something about that pop up earlier.
I think it was last seen in 1837. I think it was 30 something years ago.
Yeah.
Ophacan. It's the Ophaca something. I can't remember the full name. Yeah. But that's the genus. But then they've also discovered other species outside the caves as well. But they're that smaller pockets. If they come into the hobby, then that wouldn't be comfortable with me because they're in this one cave and they need to be left alone to breed even more.
Yeah. So like highly endemic species and stuff, that's where it is a wee bit.
Yeah, so when you look at like, I mean, you can't get, the only way you can get Metallica wild caught is illegally. So if they come into the hobby wild caught, I would literally I would say to the breeder, to the seller, what the fuck are you doing? Because that spider needs to stay in the wild, and in the hobby we need to do what we do with the specimens that we've got here, Yeah.
So same way, like you look at a lot of the Brazilian species and stuff, the ones that we know are only found in Brazil. Brazil's never given its consent for these species to be removed from the wild. So a lot's not in law or legislation. There's an argument: is that legal? The country where they come from has never said they can leave.
So Callum's just popped into the chat. He's just put oil wanker, flappy pants. Been a channel member for 51 months. Jesus.
Oh wow!
He was there when I first got monetized. About broke down on the screen.
That's what.
That was on a live. Sorry.
Is that what, 4 years at least?
Something like that, yeah. 12, 24, 40, just over 4 years, yeah.
Wow.
51 months of my life wasted on it. Appreciate it though, Callum, a lot, man. That's insane. That is insane. Crazy. It doesn't seem like I've been monetized over 4 years. Then you're like you're so excited to get monetized, but nothing. You get support, obviously, like that, like Callum has, but channel-wise, nothing really changes.
Yeah.
You'd think like your videos might get pushed out a little bit more or something, but no. And this time of year, I find views always drop around the summertime. It always drops low.
It was the same way a lot of creators felt it during COVID, didn't they? Their channels really got inflated during COVID when everybody was in watching telly and that. Then as soon as that went, it just started to drop, and a lot of people got put off by it.
It's the same with the buying and selling of animals. So through the summer months, nobody's in home, so nobody's looking at tanks and stuff. But then when it gets colder, everybody's in home, so suddenly they're getting their phones out and they're watching YouTube and they're doing, they're going, oh, actually, we could do with another tank over here.
Yeah.
So Scott, there's a guy at work who watches you, and recently found out I know you. Oh Jesus! Hey Tarantula, how's it going, Mark? Again, if one of the moderators could please put Dan's link into the comments, that would be absolutely amazing. People do tend to watch some of these lives back again, like tomorrow or something. So that gives those people also a chance to click on Dan's link and go give him a follow.
Yeah, thank you.
Leah, exactly. Yeah, she says, I'm fed up of trying to get views on YouTube or just make videos when I feel like it. Mine are just whatever I like, whatever I fancy doing. I never think, I'll do this to get views, and I think that's the best way, because I mean we're all doing spiders, man. I mean, we're never going to get millions and millions of subscribers because one, we're all responsible keepers, so we're not throwing them up in the air or making a big deal out of watering the food, the water bowls to try and get them to get pissed off so millions of people watch. We're all promoting educational content, and educational content doesn't really do brilliantly on YouTube when it comes to spiders. Maybe if we all did, I don't know, something crap like football channels, we'd all be millionaires now, but I can't stand it.
Winding up animals and then getting them to fight on screen. I've seen a few of them popping up in YouTube chats recently.
Geezer in America does it on live TikToks, and the amount of times I reported it, and TikTok have basically come back with no problem.
Yeah, there's not much you can do. Invertebrates generally aren't protected anywhere in terms of stuff like that.
I'm like, how is that not a problem?
Yeah. Animal welfare for inverts, it's not that much out there for it. There isn't very many places say that you need to look after inverts well.
It's non-existent.
Yeah. Even in universities and stuff, it's why you get so many people that do zoology degrees and end up working with inverts. And it's because there is no laws, so you can do whatever you want. So any idea you come up with in terms of research. One of the good things that I liked about Aberystwyth is it had its own ethics policy for dealing with invertebrates. So it made you sign up to a certain policy and you had to treat inverts in an ethical way, which was really cool. But not all universities do that.
You think they would?
Yeah. Especially as what we were talking about earlier, the thing with the stress hormone and that. We know inverts can get stressed. So it's maybe not going to be the same as we experience it, but it's still something that's there. Why not just do your best to try?
It comes down to the nervous system, and they can't feel pain. It's like, no, but we feel pain, and the reason we don't want to feel pain is because of the stress it causes.
Yeah. And
if you've just proved that spider can feel stress, then surely we should be implementing the same rules onto spiders and such like as we do reptiles and mammals.
Yeah.
But
Also,
the
I get
big
it.
thing is they're not fluffy. They haven't got big cute eyes. They're not something you can go, oh, look at that when you're walking it down the road, and they just get shunned, I think.
Yeah. It sets a bad example and precedent for kids as well. If you teach them they can mistreat, say, a tarantula, or you can mistreat a spider or a wasp, suddenly that can then start to move on to other things. It's like, well, actually, I didn't quite like, crows in my garden. And then, oh wait a minute, I didn't like stray cats in my garden and stuff. And then it can really change the way people view nature. It really needs to start in what you think are the small things.
Videos by the Mad Animal House just made a comment where what we're going to read. It says, me and my family have been wanting to report someone for animal neglect, but they're worried that not much will be done because it's reptiles, amphibians, and inverts. But you said reptiles, so if they're abusing reptiles, they will have those. If it's bad, they'll have them removed. You have to hit certain points for them to be able to do anything. So let's say if the reptiles are all ill, but they say, oh, but my mental health and my nan's died and this, that, and other, they tend to get away with it. It's really difficult to prosecute people in court of law when it comes to animal abuse. They have to have done something severe, which is disgusting. But I would have phoned the RSPCA by now and said, can you go check them?
There is also a thing in law, unfortunately, where it's not clear whether neglect counts as abuse in animal welfare, which can make it really hard to prosecute people. But I'd say if you report it, then that can be a strike. If then somebody else reports it, then they've got that evidence there. So it's always worth doing if you're not happy. And also, I think it sounds like you're bothered about it if you're willing to write a comment. It's maybe just worth it for your own kind of moral satisfaction, so you've tried to do something.
I mean, I'm pretty sure if Dan didn't work in a school, his reaction would be the same as mine. Yeah, bro, what you doing? Do you want to come kick somebody's door off with me because they're fucking up an animal? And that's exactly what I do. But just said that's their excuse. They use mental health. So the thing is, right, if something happens to me, Tara knows what to do in here. She knows what to feed, how to feed it, all the rest of it, watering. If she's got any concerns at all, we've got friends that are literally half an hour away. I'm pretty sure Leah would travel all the way over here if I was really bad and sort my animals out, not a problem. Therefore, if you've got bad mental health, you should also have somebody there that if your mental health has gone downhill, to then come in and help you with your animals. If you haven't, then you shouldn't be keeping those animals. Because I'm an advocate for mental health, as everybody knows. I suffer with my own. But that shouldn't then sacrifice the life of any of these animals here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So no matter how bad you're feeling, if you can't get down to feed your animals, you should have somebody that you can message or call and say, I feel, I'm going through a bit of an issue at the moment. Can you come and do my animals for me? And that should be pre-arranged. That shouldn't be a case of, oh no, who do I phone? I know full well if I felt crap and didn't want to come and do this, and Tara would come down and do it all for me. But I find solitude in here anyway. So if my mental health's bad, you normally find me in here feeding everything, and that's one of my things to get rid. Fortunately, the majority of people, says Callum, don't care enough about animals unless it's what they consider a pet, like a cat or a dog. Very true.
Yeah.
We've managed to get some animals out, but we know they'll just buy more. It's a cycle with them.
It sounds like it's something that needs to really go to the SSPCA, because they can get, bans, essentially, animal keeping bans put on them. And it might even just be enough, that knock on the door from them might be enough for them to say, well, actually, we need to rehome these animals, or we need to do better for them.
Like Leah says, mine will still get looked after, even if I'm at the end point, because they are the only thing that cheers me up. But I know for some it's not the same. If you suffer with mental health, you should be understanding of the mental and physical being of your pet, says Callum. Exactly. That's exactly my point. If you buy a pet that lives in a tiny little box like we do, you should have backup upon backup. I mean, me and Dan and Leah and other creators are in a really privileged position because we're on YouTube. We've probably got access to more people to come and help. But even if you haven't or anything, you should still have somebody that can come around and feed your stuff.
So
I mean,
my
Tara
mum has told me that she won't visit while I've got a snake. So she would not come to the house. And then Mummy's sister was adamant she wouldn't visit while there was spiders, but she's came in recently and she's seen Crumpet, which was a step forward. But yeah, I'd call that RSPCA. At the very least, you've done what you can. Takes it off your conscience a bit.
They've also openly admitted to forgetting they have certain animals for months. That phone the RSPCA. Just phone them.
Yeah.
Phone them, and then the worst case scenario, you're comfortable because you've done your bit. I mean,
also like the RSPCA as well, for them to do any sort of prosecution, they need evidence, and you phoning it in can be used as evidence. So it might feel like at the time, I'm phoning in, nothing's ever been getting done, but it will be getting logged behind the scene and stuff.
I mean, me and my little brother, he's my best mate. We've just gone in places and took dogs before now.
Yeah. So we got the cat. Cat Chaska.
I can't tell you the rest of the stories, but the dogs were taken out and then looked after and rehomed because we've, especially more so him. He's got a very big network, so he knows a lot of people. So we can rehouse things like that pretty easy. Spiders and reptiles would come to me and then off out. Like one of my friends, his snake was just getting too big for him. He didn't know what to do. Wanted just to rehome it. So he contacted myself. I contacted Leah, and Leah drove from Wales all the way over to Coventry to come pick it up.
Oh, awesome.
And her and Terry have now spent that time with it, a bit like you're doing with the boa, and they do, they take it out and to shows, and it's an educational animal now, which my mate couldn't be happier about. He's just so happy. Yeah. We have all considered but are scared nothing will get done. Then they'll know who called and we can't get any more animals out. Word of warning, they're likely attending the Scottish show.
Send me the description. I'll just follow them around telling all the vendors about did he give them an egg?
That's not a bad idea, actually. I would still phone the RSPCA. The RSPCA, if you speak to them and say, will my details be confidential and private? Will this person ever know? And if they go, no, then you're free to give all the details. Especially if you've been there and you've got a picture or a video or anything like that, which when the RSPCA officer speaks to yourself, you can go, yeah, look. Now go act. And off they go. We do indeed. Cuddles is an absolute angel snake. We love him. Cheers, Karen. It's a beautiful snake. I mean, I would have loved it, but sometimes, you ain't got the room. So you have to love it from a distance.
Yeah. I mean, that was the big thing that was holding me back for collecting these. It wasn't just the room. It was also the fact that we weren't sure where we were going to settle. We studied in Wales. We'd done quite a lot in Wales. We quite liked the idea of moving country, actually. But then we got Nocky, so that cut down so many countries because he can barely handle the summers here. I wanted to move to Australia. We couldn't do that to him. He wouldn't survive.
I mean,
also, I quite like Florida. I'd love to move to Florida, but he wouldn't like that. We're still looking at Canada and stuff, but I like Scotland. So.
That phone them tomorrow as soon as they open. Fuck's sake! I've got plenty of photographic evidence. Somebody's been in their house recently. It says the whole place is absolutely filthy. Cat shit and piss all over the floor. Fuck it, just phone them.
On the floor can be used as evidence of abuse and neglect. So that one specifically can be used. So if they can go in, well, that's there, and it's definitely something they can document.
Well, you're forcing the cat to walk through and sit on its own piss and shit.
Yeah. And also, if that's the case, don't just get in touch with RSPCA, get in touch with environmental health, because then they can also get involved and remove the animals.
I ain't lying, my temper would have gone by now and I'd have been around there. I'd have spoke to them nicely, give up your animals, and then there's... I'm put off because I found about someone similar and nothing was done.
Yeah, it's hard.
They might have been. They have to act on these phone calls. They might have been. They might have been. The only thing, I mean, I'm not worried about RSPCA because if they come here, sound as, they'll probably, go, oh, that's nice. What's that? But I'm more concerned about a heated shed at the end of the garden and a police helicopter going flying over and having the police here going, can we have a look in your shed? It looks a bit warm on our cameras.
So there was along my auntie in the village I stay in, there was a guy who had bought 2 houses and put them together, and he had converted the attic into, let's just say it's a grow house.
Yeah.
For a very specific plan. It caught fire one day, and all the smoke was drifting down the street, and there was some dogs that got, it's not a very nice story, there was some dogs that got so stoned, one of them had to be put to sleep.
Oh, shit.
So... But apart from that, the street, for like a whole day, everybody in the street was high as a kite. Just with this smoke drifted in.
Just read that. She said he said, they did go, prove what I told them was true, only gave them a warning. They don't just get the warning. So the warning stays on their record for what, a year to 5 years. But the RSPCA wouldn't have left it like that. They would have revisited to make sure what they told them was put in place. The RSPCA would have only left them to it once they were comfortable knowing that everything had been put in place, like vet checks and all the rest of it, for instance. But, I mean, and it's private and confidential. After that report, they're not going to tell you that they're doing this and they're doing that.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you could see them in the street and go, did you take your dog down the vets? Did you do this? Did you do that, what the RSPCA said? And obviously that's data protection.
Well, so a lot of the times in animal welfare, a lot of it will start off as a civil process. So it'll be like civil legislation they're going down. Once the RSPCA, for example, have tried that so many times, what they then do is get the police involved and it changes to being a criminal prosecution. So it might seem like nothing's happening because it's just going down the civil path at the moment. But if it keeps getting reported, the RSPCA keep trying to intervene and nothing happens, that's when the police get involved, and that's when you can get jail time and big fines and stuff. So it's definitely still worth reporting because it might look like nothing's happening, but there could be a lot happening on the background that you don't see.
In England, it's the RSPCA that take you to court, and it's the RSPCA that prosecute you. The RSPCA can put you under arrest until the police come, so they've got the powers, powers as the officers.
Yeah, a lot of time here they need to get. I think dog wardens have it similar here actually, but a lot of time for animal welfare they'll need to get the police involved who will go with them and make the actual arrest. But animal welfare is a hard one. It's always hard when you see people who are now looking after animals. Especially
it's the same reason I couldn't be a copper either.
It seems like it's
I don't know how police or the RSPCA hold their call under certain conditions. I really don't.
There's a term for it. We nurses get this a lot, and it's basically they have a breakdown in their empathy because they're so used to just seeing like the shit of the world, seeing people in some of the worst circumstances and with the worst things going on possible. Yeah, that they just get so desensitized to it that they essentially become almost like nasty, or almost they seem like they're uncaring, which puts a lot of people off.
Coppers must get well pissed off, especially with like pissheads, but punching shit out of each other. They must be like,
what again? Imagine, say, you've been dealing with a really like a horrendous case in the morning, right? You've just spent your whole day dealing with this case. It could be, like domestic abuse or something. And then you come to later in the night, you're still on your shift, and then you're getting annoyed by just some drunk who only shut his mouth, just causing trouble. Like, how hard must it be to keep your cool after all that?
I will see if we can phone tomorrow. Going around to the person who's been in the house tomorrow, so they can phone together. Awesome.
Yeah.
Can you drop us an update? Just because if they get banned from keeping animals, then being part of the media invert team. What? Oh, so you're the one that's been.
Oh, awesome. Is this the Orb-Weaver that was just free floating in your room?
No, that passed away a long time ago. They don't live long. That's Nobelis, female.
Oh, awesome.
Awesome. She's the reason I've got thousands of them in here. But she just they try to keep the fruit flies down.
It's still something we really get up here.
She's flying down. She's going down on. I've got her on my finger, and I'm winding the webbing up. There she goes.
I want to at some point make. So I was mentioning earlier, I do like a lot of outdoor education and that. One of the things I teach kids is how to make string out of like grass and bark and stuff like that. I want to collect all of my spider silk at some point and make string out of spider silk to sew them. Show them, I think that'd be really cool.
They reckon it's one of the strongest substances that is made by an animal, don't they?
Yeah. Every year it changes between that and the radula of snails and stuff. At the moment, I think they're saying it's spider silk that's back on top as the strongest organic material made by an animal.
When we used to always do the finger, gathering from the leopards, maybe
because it'll be all sticky for the web.
he made this one. It started off white, but dildo use. And then where's the other one? He did me a bloody finger somewhere. I'll be in the house. And get someone to give you an egg sack. An empty one. Because then you can use the silk to make the string.
Oh, yeah. I did actually. I had silkworms at one point that I was wanting to do it with, but then I couldn't get a hold of the mulberry to keep them growing, and they all died. And I was going to do it with actual silkworms at one point.
That would have been cool. That would have been a really cool video.
It was going to be one I was going to do with the kids, get them to do it, show them how to how they used to spin silk and stuff. Because there's a way you can do it where you don't have to boil the silkworm, so you can get it out without doing that, and it will just remake its cocoon a couple of times, and then after like the third time, you just let it go through the full process.
I remember when I first found out like you could get silk from silkworms and they spin it, and I mean I was only a kid, but I always imagined like about 100 silkworms being pinned down, and literally pulling it out of them.
Yeah, that's what I thought it would be like as well, like with the little spinnerets of spiders, and they can just wrap it out.
Off it goes.
I might try it again. I'll check out Paul. I've been looking at a few of these things, so I might try it again if I can get some of them. Because I've heard a couple of people saying the silkworm chow stuff is supposed to be pretty good for them, but it seems to be just more short term. So I need the mulberry because it will be like a long term project.
I think, we'll give it another 8 minutes, and we'll fortunately have to close the stream because but I've got work I know you ain't got work in the morning, but I've got work in the morning.
I'm off the now, so
well, I say
good holidays, like
I don't start at 8:30, but I've got the gym at 6:30, so that's more important.
This is me just starting my holidays because I just spent the last 2 weeks working at the zoo, one of the summer school things. So that's where the hat's from. I was at SS. I do quite a lot of work with Edinburgh Zoo as well.
Have you got any work to do between now and when the kids come back there, or?
No particular. There's a couple of days I might go in. I might be doing some evolution tours around looking at some of the adaptive traits of the animals.
Night, Callum.
Doing a sloth talk at some point. So maybe a couple of things, but I've not agreed to anything in concrete yet. We've just got sloth bears in the zoo, actually, which is really cool. I think it's maybe the first in the UK. Yeah, sloth bears. They're not like sloths. It's the most dangerous bear. So, well, sort of. Polar bears are going to hunt you, but there's more sloth bear attacks than any other bear. So they reckon the reasoning is that these are bears that have evolved against alongside a large feline predator. So tigers, and a tiger will, if it wants to eat a sloth bear, it will eat a sloth bear. The only defense they have, they can't outrun them, they can't outclimb them. They just have to charge them and be as much of a menace as they can to these tigers. So this is one animal where I would actually say it has very aggressive tendencies, not even defensive. If it sees something, it will charge them and it will attack. Quite a lot of sloth bear deaths every year. But they're so cute. They've got big fluffy patches that the young stay on. So these are bears that have evolved to eat ants. So one of the adaptive traits is they don't have their front teeth. They've got their front incisors missing, which is similar to sloths. And part of that's because they've got these big massive lips and their front teeth missing. So they just walk along the forest floor, sucking up ants. If anybody's watched the Jungle Book, this is what Baloo is based on. This is the sloth bear. So yeah, they'll do that. And they've got these big furry patches that the babies hold on to. And because they've always got their head down across the ground, sucking up these ants, that stops the baby just tumbling off its back, the little cub. But they're such cool bears. They've got these massive claws. They also reckon the guy who kind of described them, I wouldn't say discovered, because obviously the native people to the area knew they were there the whole time. But the guy who described them, he was a Western scientist. A lot of time he saw them up in trees. And then he discovered they had these front teeth missing. And he must have seen sloths at some point and thought, oh, sloth bear, it's just like them. But really, it's nothing like them.
I'm just trying to get it up on screen.
What's ours called?
Melarus ursinus.
And their name translates to honey bear, which is also funny because they don't really eat honey. If you see them in a honey nest, it's more likely they're eating the larvae of the bees than the honey. Yeah, so Baloo is bear in Hindi. The area that you find these bears in is sometimes the only species of bear. So this is like, a lot of the time, this is just what they would call Baloo, because there isn't other bears to distinguish it by, which is really cool.
Has that come up on screen?
Yes, yeah.
So that is the sloth bear.
Yeah, so we got one at Edinburgh Zoo, and he is an absolute menace. He has been tearing his enclosure apart. But that's what they do. They find big bits of wood in that, and they tear through them. Oh, I didn't know Kai is snake. That's awesome. I'll have to find out what type of snake Kai is, and then I can tell the kids that next time I'm in.
Look at that. Big white patch on the front of the bear.
Yeah.
Where's the images? There we go. Oh, look at that one.
They're cute animals, like.
That's cute. That's like alien scary, but
yeah. And they
so
kill
is that
more
one.
people every year than grizzly bears.
How come grizzly bears get all the bad rep?
I know. You wouldn't think it's Baloo that's doing it.
No, yeah, that's true. They've almost got like a dog-like face, haven't they? Wow. They're cool.
They're awesome. We've got some good stuff at Edinburgh Zoo now. We just got our cheetah. We've got Billy the cheetah now. What else have we got recently? Oh, we've got haggis. If nobody's heard of haggis yet, that is our pygmy hippopotamus that was born just last summer. She's cute. What else have we got recently? We had Taylor and Swift that were caught in top marmosets that were born when Taylor Swift was touring Scotland. So we called them Taylor and Swift, and then she refused to visit the fucking zoo. So she would even come along and see them.
Why?
I don't know. She just apparently is too good for Edinburgh Zoo.
Unless you couldn't fit it into what she was doing, maybe, or a manager said no.
If somebody told me though, oh, we've named these baby cotton top marmosets, one of the smallest monkeys out there,
You'd
absolutely,
pay
I'd
attention,
be
you'd-
going along to see it. We've just had new babies from them actually that don't have names. Oh,
Videos-
that's also mad animal rights. Do you know who it is? Because I know quite a lot of the guys there. Although I'm in the education department, I've done quite a lot of stuff around the zoo as well. So, like, I know the guys in the Wild Genes Lab and stuff like that as well.
Do you know Phil from Incredible Inverts and Other Animals?
Yes. Yeah, I've spoke to him a few times. He knows quite a lot of the guys at Edinburgh Zoo. He's done quite a few courses in that with them. He knows one of the guys that I know from the Partula Snail Project as well.
He's pretty good with that. He literally just seems to know everybody from every zoo.
Yeah.
Good at
It's a
networking.
small community.
At the times. Yeah.
Especially if you're in, like,
Lauren Mitchell.
kind of zoo education. I can't think of Mitchell. I'll have to ask around when I'm there. If you're in like kind of zoo or science education or STEM stuff within zoos, it's quite a small group. A lot of us really do know each other because you'll see us at different events and all that around the country.
He's very petite
Yeah.
and blonde.
Right. I keep meaning to visit Phil at Sherproof. I'm going to make the trip at some point. I've said to him as well if he visits Edinburgh. Actually, I said it in your WhatsApp chat to him that if he visits Edinburgh, to give me a shout because I'll get him in some of the backdoor bits.
I was just about to say, is he going to the Glasgow show later? That could be some awesome.
I asked him, but I can't remember his answer. I asked him on one of his streams at one point, but I'm not sure what he said. I can't quite remember.
No, he's literally zoology chat with a zoologist, which is Phil, and then Tarantula Rook, his son, is in there as well.
Oh, all right.
So he's the one that's studying zoology over in Wales.
Yeah. Was that at Aberystwyth or was it a different one?
I can't remember. You have to ask him. I couldn't remember. Not remember. Anyway, Dan, unfortunately, I'm going to have to disappear.
Yeah.
I
I am roasting in this room as well. It is already hot out and this room is heated, so I am sweating in places I shouldn't be.
It's a ginger thing. I'll feel you on that one. Anyway, thank you to everybody that's popped in tonight. I really, really do appreciate the support. Please make sure that if you haven't already, please pop over to Clan of Critters on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all the rest of it. Give Dad a follow. I think with the way Dan's channel is going and his knowledge, it's going to be a channel that just sooner or later he's just going to go massive. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. We need some bigger creators from the UK.
It'd be nice.
Pushing out some decent stuff. Do you know what I mean? Big love, awesome collection, Dan, says Leah. Mad Animal House is off to go and follow. I think Philip's already given you a follow. But yeah, night everybody. Dan, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, guys.
Appreciate it a lot. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, well, thank you very much.
Night everybody.
Cheers, guys.